This episode of the Deep Thinkers podcast is brought to you by Crandall Pest Control. Crandall Pest Control is a family-owned and operated business that was started in 2002. They do scorpions, termites, and general pest control. Mostly that's their bread and butter. But with them being in business for as long as they have been, they branch out into all kinds of pest removal. So give them a call at 480-360-4999, or you can check them out online at crandallpest.com. They're also on Facebook as well as Instagram. If you mention the Deep Thinkers podcast, you'll get $30 off your initial general pest control treatment. So check them out online at crandallpest.com or give them a call at 480-360-4999. Thank you. Hello, Planet Earth. This episode of the Deep Thinkers podcast is brought to you by Bright Island Outreach. Bright Island Outreach is a group of dental professionals that goes down to the Dominican Republic multiple times a year. They take young students, dental students from the United States, as well as dental students from the Dominican, and they all go down and they teach people how to take care of their teeth. People who can't afford to do it, people who can't afford to actually go to dentists, they go into some of the more impoverished areas, and they teach people how to take care of their teeth, and they do teeth extractions, and they do root canals and fillings and cosmetics. There's a lot of different ways you can help out. You can go online at brightislandoutreach.org, and you can buy a t-shirt. I wear mine all the time. They've got really cool prints, really soft cotton. They feel great. I always get compliments on it. People ask me what it's all about, and I tell them. You can donate, or if you feel like you really want to get involved, you can actually go with them and check it out and help them out. They're always looking for volunteers. So, but whatever you do, go online to Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and check them out there. Give them a follow and help them out with that online presence. Thank you very much. This episode of the Deep Thinkers podcast is brought to you by Element Stoneworks. Element Stoneworks is a custom granite company. So if you own a home and you would like to put some nice granite countertops in your kitchen or your bathroom, these are your people. If you have a business and you want that nice, posh look of granite in your business for your desks or any surfaces that you have, if you want to replace that old laminate, then give them a call. There are two phone numbers you can reach them at, 602-930-8740 or 480-290-1879. Or you can reach out to them on Facebook. Element Stoneworks is insured, and they will take good care of you. They can get you a quick quote, and they will do a professional job. They do all their own installs. They do all their own fabricating. So give them a call and check out their work. They will give you a fair deal, and they are professional, and they get the job done quickly. Also, mention the Deep Thinkers podcast and get $50 off your installation. Hello, Planet Earth. I am sitting down today with a good friend of mine, Mr. Robert Galvan. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well.
Right on. Thanks for coming on here.
Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So, how's your morning been, man?
It's been good. Just, start off with my coffee.
Yeah.
Luckily, I live right around the corner from where we're doing this at, and have some friends that own a little roast house there in downtown Gilbert, Bergie's Coffee House.
I like Bergie's. I've been there one time with the guy who
runs this office.
Okay.
We went down there. I think we hung out there for 2 hours. He's busy. I'm busy, kind of. Not really. I'm busy, but if I were more organized, I would be a lot less busy.
Yeah.
So we don't get to catch up that much, but every now and again our schedules will connect, usually over sushi, but this time it was coffee.
Yeah, that's a good place to do it. And even this morning I ran into a couple people that I've met over the years. I think they just celebrated their 9th anniversary, so
Nice.
they've got quite a little community that they've built there.
Yeah,
And,
I was hanging out there and I was looking around. I was like, this is a really cool garden,
It made me interested in coffee in general because they're actually roasters. So
Cool.
Any given day you can smell them.
Yeah.
Out back actually roasting beans, and I mean they supply it to
That's tight.
Salad and Go and a lot of other restaurants
Wow.
around town. So
Wow.
people have probably had their coffee
And never even known it.
and maybe not realized it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
No, that's an aspect of it I didn't even was totally oblivious to. I love their garden because I'm into succulents and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, their gardens.
And so they've
top
got
notch.
a very homey, chilly place you can just kind of kick back.
Yeah, they have a plant that's actually from my house there. It's
Really?
It's a fire stick plant.
Okay.
I have a reputation of being a plant hater. I unknowingly killed a tree on Earth Day a couple years back.
How
and,
dare you?
There's been a curse
And
laid
you
on my
sit
property
there,
ever since.
and you sit there in this chair.
Talking to a gardener. Yeah. Yeah, but
That's okay, man. I won't
I
judge
gave
you.
him that plant. It's really thriving there.
Nice.
It's in better hands.
It's relieved.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's through no fault of your own, man. I love gardening, man. It started out with my love and appreciation for cannabis, and then allegedly, possibly being a grower
Okay.
for a year and a half. Kind of fuzzy on those dates. Not sure when that was, but I know it wasn't recently.
Yeah.
So I know, yeah, not sure about that, but who knows? Anyway, yeah, that's a story for another time. But I did grow it, and seeing how much time and effort it went into growing good cannabis and how difficult it was made me appreciate everything that is grown.
Yeah, I appreciate anything that you have to nourish to see the results.
Right.
There's so many tendencies to want instant gratification and things that you can be creative in and see the fruits of your labor.
Take a while.
Yeah, anything that you have to make that investment in, there's just such a pride and sense of accomplishment when you actually get to see the results
for
of that.
sure.
And I don't know that you can get that much more of a literal example from gardening.
Yeah.
Taking
Yeah.
something from seed to full blown plant is
Right.
one of the ultimate examples of that. It's kind
Right.
of cool.
One of my favorite things to grow is artichokes.
I like eating them.
Yeah, they're good. It's even funner to eat.
I make a good
Yeah.
spinach artichoke dip.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, man, I'd had them before. I had artichoke hearts and stuff, and I love spinach artichoke dip. But as soon as I grew them, I was like, all right, how do you eat these? How do you cook these?
Right.
So it was kind of interesting to learn that way. I had 2 plants last time I grew them. Now this time around I have 3, and they grow great in Arizona. They're robust. They're strong. As long as you water them, they're kind of hard to kill. You should check them out.
Yeah. I've literally Googled plants that are hard to kill, and I've managed to kill them all.
Really?
So, yeah.
Dang, that's impressive.
Like I said, there's been a curse laid down. It's, the tree that I tried to kill, it won't die, and there's still roots that have sprouted up 2 years later.
Really?
Yeah, and then everything that I've tried to plant
Since then?
has died. So
Has withered up?
It's the moral of the
ground
story,
has been
kids, is
cursed.
do not kill a plant on Earth Day.
Oh, well, don't worry. I don't think there was any activists.
Yeah,
In my dozens of listeners across the globe.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I don't even know if they have Earth Day in other countries, man. I think that might just be an American thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would make sense.
They
if it was
definitely
like
would call it something else.
Yeah, yeah. They want. Yeah, you'd think that Earth Day, like
Dia del Mundo, maybe, or something.
like the whole Earth would be on board for that day. You know, like.
Right.
I don't remember ever hearing about Earth Day when I was in England. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would have had 2 of them.
Right.
You know. So, but yeah, then they celebrate. It seems like every couple weeks you've got some kind of day in England. You know, like. I mean, it's not just enough to have Christmas. You've got to have Boxing Day afterwards.
Well, Friday we just had National Pizza Day, and
I actually ate pizza in
that's
Cottonwood.
a day that's very close to my heart. So
I
celebrated twice.
I ate pizza that night after training jiu-jitsu in Cottonwood.
Okay.
Yeah, it was delicious. They have a pizza joint up there. I don't even know the name of it, but it's the pizza joint on Main Street.
Right. Every small town's got one.
Yeah. Well, Cottonwood's. You got the main town, which it's about 30,000 people, and then you've got Main Street, like right over here. And over here, I think you'll have like McDonald's and Burger. You might have a Pizza Hut, and you might have Little Caesars.
Yeah.
But this is like a pizzeria, man. Like they make everything fresh. Like their biscotti is the best, and it's Italian food in general, but mostly pizza. But their biscotti is the best biscotti I've ever had in my life. Yeah, you can eat it without worrying about cracking a tooth. Mm-hmm. You know, it's kind of nice, but yeah, it's every time I go up there, I'm like, can I get a little bit of Scotty to go? Yeah, bring it out. Yeah, let's do it. So everybody else that's sitting there sweating their butts off in the gym is probably judging me, but I don't care.
Right.
You know. So
I know you were wanting to talk a little bit about the kids and some of the jiu-jitsu stuff.
Now, most people don't know. Well, how would you know, Planet Earth? But Robert teaches our kids. Robert and Quentin are our 2 coaches for our kids program at Maracaba Jiu-jitsu. And your grappling credentials, both of you guys, Quentin's going to come on too at some point. We talked about it, but you both got pretty deep resumes with grappling.
Yeah, and we've known each other for a really long time. He was a year ahead of me in school. Wrestled for one of our bigger rival schools. A couple of my teammates used to battle it out with him. And
who won?
You know what? I think I had a couple teammates that Quentin would beat all the time.
Got a boy, Quentin.
I think I had a teammate that they went maybe back and forth a little bit, but I've known Quentin really well since college. We were at ASU together for a couple of years wrestling.
Yeah, he's an animal. Smart guy.
Yeah, and just all around, really good guy. So I've celebrated his successes whether we were on the same team or on opposing teams.
Nice.
But yeah, we've got to put in a lot of time together there, and just doing the takedowns and teaching the kids some wrestling. They're a little bit averse to the elements of being on the feet and attacking from the feet, and a lot of them are guard pullers. But I'm seeing some transformation in there, and seeing just a whole another development in them, and it's amazing. Some of them as young as 4 years old. I think we have one that's actually not even 4 yet.
Sheesh.
And they absorb just so much. I've got a background coaching more of the high school age kids, which is
about the same mental capacity right there.
yeah, some days. No, there's they have an actual wrestling background at that point.
Right.
Most of the kids that I'm working with at that age have a little bit more wrestling and no jiu-jitsu, so they're truly training in wrestling specifically, and coming in where the kids have a very good grasp in grappling, but from a totally different perspective, is a little bit more of an adjustment to get them to focus on actually the wrestling side of it,
right?
And trying to teach them wrestling specific to jiu-jitsu. So it's got its had its little challenges that we've been overcoming, but it's been pretty amazing to see the level of progress over a short time.
I just put my phone in airplane mode right there. Starting to get text messages and stuff. Yeah, no, it's been interesting to. Is that you?
Oh, maybe that is me.
Okay, no, it's cool. It's been interesting to watch because kids jiu-jitsu is a trip because it's like humans. It's like adults jiu-jitsu, only much smaller. It's just kind of fun to watch. Mm-hmm. You see these kids, especially when they're really young. They're not quite. I mean, they're not athletic yet. Their parents are. They're probably going to be athletic, but when you got them 5 and 6, they're just kind of out there learning the basics.
They're more pliable. They're more durable, though.
Yeah, true.
They
way more flexible. So,
yeah.
So they're getting it. But you'll see an arm bar, but it's a little arm bar.
Right.
You'll see it's. You'll see a choke, but it's a little choke. It's just kind of funny,
Yeah.
And then it's fun to see you two out there, sometimes everything's firing, it's looking great, and other times you two look like you were about an inch away from just like throwing one of these children through the ceiling. Not that you would or anything, but it's just oh yeah, it looks.
Yeah, some days
looks
are
like these
are
kids
more
have had a lot of sugar today. So, but yeah, it's been cool to watch over the last few months, especially with takedowns and things like that, because the other day some kids, I don't know anything about takedowns, and I know that there's a takedown called a double leg,
right?
And I know it involves 2 legs.
Yes,
I was able to figure that much out for myself, so I can see why they would name it that. Didn't know what it looked like though. And 2 of the kids were drilling it, and I was asking somebody, I was like, hey, is that a double leg? I don't know. That's to the right of me, because we're waiting around for class. Is that a double leg? I don't know. So I asked the kid, I'm like, hey, what takedown are you drilling? This is a double leg. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, just getting that basic knowledge, man. For me, I've only competed twice, and I've had 3 matches in those 2 competitions. And for me, the scariest part of the competition is the first 30 seconds or, however long you're on your feet.
It's where that flight or fight response and the adrenaline and that, and I don't think it matters how long that you compete. I've been competing for a long time, and that never went away from me.
Right.
You learn to harness it better and turn it into a positive, energy, and I think that shift largely just comes with the experience and with a better mastery of the game plan and having a little bit more of a strategy going in, but
which only comes with time.
Yeah, it comes with time, and you start to gain confidence once you've got competence.
Yeah,
so,
I'm only just breaking the surface of competence in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. But it's better to get competence first.
Yeah.
And then, confidence, because
no, I'm talking competence.
Yeah, you do them in the wrong order, and you're going to get yourself in trouble.
It's bad. Yeah, people are like, what's your game plan? What's your game? I don't know.
Yeah. Go
out there and try not to get killed. Well, that's great for practice, but you're competing, right? No.
Yeah.
Now my game, I like getting into side control, and that's where I'm more comfortable as side control. I feel like I'm able to keep it a little better now, and the biggest part of that for me is it's been in the last 3 to 4 weeks that it's clicked for me, and no-gi has been the missing link in the routine for me, because I was learning techniques on chokes, I was learning technique on sweeps and defense and things like that, but the actual back and forth scramble grappling part, I sucked at it, and I wasn't getting a whole lot. I was improving, but I didn't feel like I was getting a whole lot better. And then I did a no-gi class, and I was like, what the heck is this? Where do you grab? Why is everybody moving so fast?
Yeah.
I'm soaking wet. Everything's slippery. Because you can pretty much grab anywhere on the gi. It might not be the right place to grab, but you can get a grip and then maybe set something up for a better grip. Almost like you're supposed to grip one place, but you can almost ladder your weight on the gi to that grip if you need to. At least where I'm at, you know, with my lower levels. But with no-gi, you've got to make the right grip at the right spot. It's behind the neck. It's behind the traps. You know, it's on the triceps, on the wrists. You know, it's more, I feel less like I'm doing martial arts and more like I'm wrestling.
Well, and it is more similar to wrestling. And I thought it was going to be my preference having that background. It was certainly more of a natural transition, but you know, you never see me in that class.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're like a gi.
I'm kind of a gi guy now.
Yeah.
But in competitions, I always do really well when I go and compete no gi, because I think gi is more technical for jiu-jitsu, right. But wrestling and the grappling side of things, there's more of just instinctual body movements and that are just muscle memory now that I can kind of fall back on, and that's where I think a lot of wrestlers are gonna gravitate more towards no-gi, and then hopefully they'll give it a shot in gi and realize how much fun it is and how different it is. But wrestling and jiu-jitsu are the perfect complement to each other, and coming into that realm, there was a few people that I felt like, I introduced myself to, and they asked, are you completely new? Have you been training? I was like, no, I wrestled for a long time. And then bam, like target on the back. And it's like, okay. Well, now we gotta teach the wrestler.
Oh, we gotta break all these bad habits,
what jiu-jitsu is all about. And there's like this competition between wrestling and jiu-jitsu, both being grappling arts. Yeah, and
I'm not a part of it because I was not a wrestler.
Yeah, and I
don't care.
I didn't come into it
happen. Yeah,
I didn't come into it with the mentality of I need to show that wrestling's better. I came into it saying I don't want to be a wrestler in a gi. I want to be a practitioner of a new study.
Jiu-jitsu Kua, I think it's called.
I've never known what to call it.
No,
so
I was
just
looking
say
it up.
practitioner.
I have it right here. I was looking it up over the weekend. We were talking about it in Cottonwood, and I was looking it up on Google because I forgot the term. Yeah, what do you call it? A jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Wrestling's easy.
Yeah,
wrestlers.
It's a jiu-jitsu Jitsuka. So you just put Ka after jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu Kua.
Like a judoka.
Yeah, it's like a judoka. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Jiu-jitsu Kua. I don't know how to pronounce it yet, but I'll get good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll be dropping that word all the time in the future, But I've seen that almost like a power struggle between the hardcore jiu-jitsu guys and wrestlers play out a few times. Not super bad since we left Power MMA. In fact, not at all since we left Power MMA.
No.
But that presence was strong at Power MMA. It was kind of weird because I was coming in just wanting to learn jiu-jitsu. And so I show up to the gi class for the first couple months, and you start to make friends, you start to get a little bit of knowledge, and then I show up to the no-gi class, and I automatically knew it was different. I didn't know about this rivalry, but I knew something was going on because everybody in the gi class was super cool, and then nobody in the no gi class wanted to talk to me except for the guys that were coming from the gi class, and I was like, what? What is this?
I think you had more people in there that were training mixed martial arts,
right?
And so a lot of them were they're more combative by nature because they're also doing the striking
fighters,
and all the other stuff. So it's just a different mentality.
I've heard that Jeremy Hughes told me once, he's like, man, I got into jiu-jitsu just doing no gi. And in his words, he's like, I thought gi was for pussies, bro. He's like, and then I put a gi on and I got my world rocked. And he's all, that's what made the difference. And I've heard that most wrestlers look at people who wear the gi as
not the same caliber. It's a foolish thing.
Yeah, it's like I go play football, you can go just play chess. Mm-hmm. Almost like that mentality, but if they were to actually go do it before they made that judgment call, they would see it's not at all like that.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times when Clayton's breaking down a move in no-gi, he'll be like, hey, you can tell if someone's just a hardcore wrestler because they'll react this way. You know, this is the way they're taught, like powering into a move or something versus pulling back out and trying to get away that way. Or,
Yeah.
So it's just, but I would say like the 3 golden grappling tools are what? Jiu-jitsu, judo, and wrestling, right? I mean,
Yeah, and you know, I don't know enough about judo to make real strong comments. I can say that we at my high school, our most successful wrestler was a 2-time state champion. He was also a judo national champion, and he went from being a pretty terrible wrestler as he started high school to being an All-American and 2-time state champion and undefeated seasons. So they're all very complementary to each other, and the hurdle really is getting over yourself and whatever you started in, thinking that that's the best, and being open to how well that they work together, because I think the beauty of grappling over striking in terms of applicable, you know, real world situations is elements of control.
Yeah.
And, you know, controlling an opponent, and doing it in a way that you have to exert very little force on them. You're not risking, you know, hurting yourself or the other person to near the same extent. But, you know, you throw a punch. One of my good friends, he fought a few times, and I mean, just he beat the pulp out of a guy, but in the process he broke his hand. You know, and that's the risk that you take is, you know, you're exerting damage on yourself as well. You know, you could do everything right and still take in some damage just through that force. Right. Whereas, you know, with jiu-jitsu being the gentle art, it really is. It's not that it's gentle, but you can end a confrontation without a lot of damage to either person, and that's something from a philosophical level that I think is special about it.
Yeah, and I can see like the gentle art. Like I joke and say, gentle. When you're doing it, it feels anything but gentle. Yeah. But when you take let's compare a Kimura to a punch. Like a punch, if you pull your punch in a live situation, you're doing yourself a tremendous injustice. You're handicapping yourself in that situation to where your opponent's going to have an advantage over you. And like if you pull your punch at the wrong time in the wrong fight, it may be a fight ender for you. If that's the only punch you get and you pull it. Mm-hmm. Whereas, striking, like punching, is like having one tool in your tool belt. That's a hammer. You know, whereas something like a Kimura, if someone gets close to you, you can grab them, you can get your positioning, and you can put them in a position that's going to make them uncomfortable to the point where it's like pulling a punch. You're not applying full force, but they can't get away, and they know they're in trouble.
And this is totally on your terms at that point.
Right. So, I mean, as far as the gentle art, grabbing leverage and pulling into a submission is much more gentle than just throwing a fist thunk into someone's face, you know? So, gentle in some respects, not gentle in others. So, but definitely addicting no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
So, I've been debating whether or not I was going to share this story. I had my mind blown this weekend up in Cottonwood. You always hear technique over strength, always, you know, and don't worry how big or how strong the other guy is, how athletic he is. You know, if it's jiu-jitsu, straight up, it's technique over strength also. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a year now. Let's say 3.5 times per week, off and on. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm going 5. There was 3 weeks there where I had a weird injury on my fingers and couldn't train. there's been times I've only showed up 2 times in a week, but mostly, conservatively, we'll say 3.5 times per week.
Yeah, you got to get that half a practice in, huh?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying not to say like, you know what I mean?
I get you.
I try to go 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the average, but yeah, half practice. Like I'm just rolling today. I didn't come to drill and warm up. Only been doing no-gi since the first of the year, and I'm literally the worst person in our no-gi class. But we have a class full of frickin' killers, man. And I roll with John Pfeiffer regularly and drill with him regularly in no-gi. So I get a text to go up to Cottonwood for an open mat Friday night and Saturday morning. Professor Stefan up there, super cool. Stayed the night over in Cottonwood, and I walk into the gym Friday when I get there, and there's a guy there it's his first month, so he doesn't know anything, never grappled before. He's about 5'10", 245, and probably around 15% body fat. He's a Hulk. Like, his arms are like 21 inches. Just massive dude. He's a power lifter, bench, squat, and deadlift. He's my age, so this is back before weightlifting really took off into all the different splinter fractions that it's gone into. But no matter what you're into, it all goes back to bench, squat, and deadlift. Those are like 3 bread and butter lifts. And this dude's massive. And he's like, "You want to roll?" And I'm like, "Okay." I'm 5'9", 215, not 15% body fat. But pretty close. I'm within 10% of that, so it's pretty good. But no disrespect to this guy, he's got the best attitude. He is awesome, super coachable, super cool guy, eager to learn. Similar story. We both did a little bit when we were younger, been filling the call for 20 years. I just started a couple days after my 38th birthday. He started a couple days after his 39th. Pretty much, maybe a week or 2 apart in birthdays. And I felt like I had no business doing to him what I did to him on the mat. I felt like apologizing after every single move I made because I didn't feel like I should be able to do something like that to someone like that. Like, I wrapped his legs up, I passed his guard. He had me in a headlock for about a minute and a half. And when he finally let go, I just went, "Oh, dude, I am so glad I am not in your headlock anymore, man. That was so scary." And everybody was laughing, because, like, dude, his forearms are, like, bigger than my biceps. Like, not an exaggeration. Like, this guy, in 6 months from now, he's going to be a monster. And he's going to make everybody in that gym better, because what percentage of the population is that big, that yoked, and that strong, but also that cool? Like, he super cool attitude, like, knows he's going to get pummeled, like, knows it's going to be a process and respecting it. And it blew my mind. I was telling the professor up there, I was like, I just can't really wrap my head around this. I feel humbled. I still haven't quite figured it all out, like, but I just didn't feel like I should have been able to do that to somebody like that. Like, and it's like an unsettling feeling, like, and not like, "Yeah, look at me, I'm the man." It was just like, whoa. It was crazy. But, and granted, I may not be able to do that to him 2 weeks from now. Like, he like, we were, that night, I'm like, "Hey, are you going to be here tomorrow morning?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'd like to put on the gi with you." Just because I'm 222, he's 245. How many big guys like that are going to be that athletic, but yet not experienced, so that you can kind of, like it's a niche thing you can work right there for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Just
solely technique over strength and size. And so I wanted to work spider guard with a little bit, but he kept on just kind of trying to crush me in my guard. And so real quick, I was like, "Hey, man, can I show you something so I can work what I want to work? And he's like, yeah. And so I showed him stand-up guard pass. And I showed him how to make the grip on the sleeve. And he was like, oh, man. I'm like, that's the grip you want right there, you know. Super coachable, super, super cool. And I tried to work spider guard on him I was trying to work my game with him I was like, okay, just keep working this over and over. I'm going to work my game against you, okay? He's like, cool. And even with that little instruction, like my spider guard game was so difficult. Like what is it when you're grabbing their wrists and you're putting your feet on their hips and you're kind of flaring your knees out? What's that? There's a name for it. Anyway, like I'll probably hear it tomorrow night and remember it, but like just even with that, teaching him how to posture up and like how to hold me down right there was all I could do to like work my transition from closed guard to spider guard on him. And then he broke my grip on spider guard like I was a child, you know, like he's just so big and strong, you know. But man, like, yeah, dude, jiu-jitsu is powerful, you know, and I knew it was, but I didn't realize it was. It was just so. I left that place humbled and so grateful for the year of getting my ass kicked that I had just gone through, you know, because it was being able to do something like that did not feel the way I thought it would feel. It was like whoa, like this deserves a little respect and a little more reverence, you know, and not that I wasn't respecting it or anything like that, but I had a very up close and personal lesson on how powerful these techniques are while completely aware of my own mortality. It was fucking awesome, man. I'm not gonna lie. I can't wait to roll with that guy in 6 months. I told him that too. I'm like, dude, you're gonna be a monster. Just keep coming. I can't wait to roll with you in 6 months. Because you can tell when someone's really like into it, you know, especially if they're showing up at 5:30 on a Friday night to train. Yeah. You know, and you know, he lives in Sedona, coming to Cottonwood. So yeah, I was excited to see where that. I'm like, are you gonna compete? He's like, I haven't thought about it. I'm like, what? You're healthy, right? Well, yeah. I'm like, just saying, man, it would be fun to watch you compete once you've got some technique behind you, because not too many people in that ultra heavyweight class that are as athletic as you are. You know, I'm just saying it would be fun, you know, like it's fun to watch. So, but, yeah, it was pretty insane. I called Jake the next morning and John Pfeiffer. I was like, dude, you know, it was a lot of fun, but, and not bragging, not anybody can do something like that. Anybody can learn that. You just have to be committed and spend time out on the mats and be humble enough to take an ass whooping a lot to get there. So, but I mean, you've been in a situation like that, man. Like that last tournament we were in. Was that in the open?
Yeah, he was, you know, probably two of me.
That dude was huge.
So yeah, but that's cool. You know, in wrestling we had weight classes and you stick
Right.
to them. There's no belts, so
Yeah.
you know you're going strictly on who's the best.
Yeah.
And you know, if we were to apply that belt concept to wrestling, you could be a white belt and you're going in against a black belt immediately, and
Yeah.
you know you're gonna get crushed. But that's how the sport's structured. And so I appreciate that element of it, but then what I do like about jiu-jitsu is the absolute weight classes, and that's pretty cool to see as a small person how you stack up against somebody that's, you know, much bigger than you.
Yeah,
and
that
circles
match-
back around to the technique over size and strength kind of thing. So you get an actual opportunity to test that, which is pretty cool, and it does validate that the efforts you're putting in really are applicable.
Yeah, watching you in that match blew my mind. Like, this guy was at least 80 pounds. I think he was like 85. What was the
Well, he
total?
was the super heavyweight, so I think he was like
222. That's my rank. My,
Yeah.
my class.
Right, but it goes up, you know, to any.
That's ultra.
Well, whatever the heaviest weight
Okay,
is
so he's
is what
ultra,
he
so he
was.
was over
Yeah, he's like
222.
I think he was like 265 or something.
Okay,
so
and you're
155.
yeah, huge difference, and he had some height on you too. He probably had.
Well, everybody's got height on me.
Well, I
but,
didn't
you know,
kind of want to go there, you know. Like I feel like I've made enough short jokes at your expense to where I didn't need to.
He's got solid, 8 inches probably in height, but
yeah, and he won by an advantage point,
right,
which means for what happened, I'll just tell people what happened. You two locked up. As far, I think he had a grip on the back of your kimono, and didn't you have a grip on his sleeve in the front of his kimono, like on his lapel?
I was grabbing whatever I could.
It was something like that, and it was 5 minutes of you two trying to take each other down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he got you to your knee, and you popped right back up instantly, and that's what scored me. In jiu-jitsu, you have points for different techniques, for passing different guards, for doing different things, for holding different positions, and you have what's called advantage points, which are kind of like
it's like an almost point.
It's like a half a point. You know, like that was pretty cool. You could have got something there. That took something, but it wasn't something.
Right.
It took something to get there.
It was almost something.
So, I remember the first time we actually talked at Power MMA. We were hanging out in the sauna. You were cutting weight, and someone asked you about your last tournament, and you're like, I lost by an advantage point. And no, you said you won by an advantage point, but we were talking about advantage points and stuff, and someone asked you about it, and you're like, I won by an advantage point. And they're all, how does that feel? And you said, about the same as losing by an advantage point. You know, I was just like, okay. So that kind of like laid out what advantage points were for me that time.
Right.
So to lose by an advantage point over an opponent that big is like, it's like Goliath giving David a bloody nose and Goliath saying he won. You know what I mean? Like
colorful representation.
Yeah, but yeah, totally a worthy opponent though. I mean, like I'm not trying to take anything away from the blue belt you squared off against. You know, he was definitely a G in the game, and big, jacked, strong, athletic dude. But that was really something to watch.
Yeah, it was fun. That was my first time competing in the absolute division, so it was something I'd been looking forward to trying for a while, and it I feel like I got my money's worth.
Oh yeah, dude, I definitely got my money's worth watching for sure.
Yeah.
So, and what team won that competition again? That tournament?
Maracaba.
That's
BJJ.
right. Yeah, I think they sponsor this podcast sometimes.
Mesa, Arizona.
Yeah. Dang, they're good. Except for me. But I'll get there. So, but yeah. We were talking earlier about podcasts, and we're talking about Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris, guys like that. What are some podcasts you dive into?
Well, the only real podcast that I probably listen to consistently is Joe Rogan's, and you get such a good mix of people on his show. So it can be a philosophy podcast one day, and it can be cooking the next day, and Danica Patrick was on there recently, and so there's a good,
and then you can have a
good
comedian
mix.
Talking about the dregs of society and all.
Yeah, it's kind of a grab bag of topics on there. So that's one thing that kind of keeps me going back to that one, because I don't have time to be invested in a lot of TV shows and stuff. I'd mentioned to you, most of what I listen to now is language podcasts, and I just turn some of those on, and that's kind of my big focus. So I haven't been listening to as much Joe Rogan. I get on those as opposed to music, because you're learning something new, you're developing in kind of a new area, and then that kind of runs its course where I have to start listening to something that's a little bit more specific to like one specific thing that I'm trying to learn.
Right.
And
what kind of language podcasts are you chewing up?
So I listen to a couple. They're mostly just run through the phone apps, but they're specific to learning.
Like what languages are you trying to learn?
Spanish and Japanese.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
Mi español es como merda. Me gusta practicar.
Yeah, it's
that comes in handy.
Well, in Arizona, there's certainly a tremendous amount of value to speaking Spanish.
Oh yeah.
Japanese was just a personal interest, and it's supposed to be one of the harder languages to learn. So I felt like just go for the gusto on that one.
Yeah.
Went to Japan and I loved it there, and want to go back. So there, I'm kind of working on both simultaneously, and just trying not to get it all jumbled up too much.
I think you're probably
they're
pretty good.
interesting.
Yeah, they're probably pretty individualized. Probably a lot of differences between Spanish and Japanese.
Yeah, there's plenty, but it's one of those other things. Like you were talking about with gardening and with jiu-jitsu and learning a language. They're not instant gratification. They take watering each day, and so I've been watering that plant for a few months, and I'm starting to see some leaves pop out, and getting more comfortable with some of the aspects of grammatical structure and things.
Right.
And it's cool. It's like what you mentioned with jiu-jitsu, and just getting the additional belts in your toolbox, or your additional tools on your belt, however we put it.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing with languages, it gives you new ways of viewing the world, because when people say, oh, it doesn't really have a direct translation, it's true. It's very reflective of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so learning how to communicate an idea in another language, you're literally learning a new idea and a new way of looking at the world.
Right.
That is pretty cool. Listening to songs written in other languages, and then you hear them translated into English, and you're like, it doesn't sound good. Well, not only is the rhyme not there, but the meaning's not there anymore either.
Right.
Not the true meaning in the way that it was intended. It's the meaning in the closest way we can come up with. And so many times it just isn't the same.
All right. So not that I'm accusing you of anything, and you don't have to. This is a metaphorical question, so you don't have to give away any incriminating evidence. But if you were to listen to Shakira, would it be in Spanish or English?
I do like Shakira. And I actually, I had a burned CD back when like LimeWire and Kazaa and all those file sharing services.
Oh yeah.
Not that I was stealing music or anything.
I was. I stole a lot of music back in the day.
I had an album of all Shakira, and it was all Spanish.
There you go. I first heard her in Spanish from buddies who had gone to South America on their missions.
Yeah, if you've listened to her in Spanish, it's hard to switch over to listening to her in English.
Yeah.
She sounds fine.
Right.
But it's
she got pipes either way.
It's not Spanish. It's so much more beautiful when she sings in Spanish.
Yeah.
So I'm not ashamed to say I'm a Shakira fan.
Dude,
I'm a music lover.
I'm a music lover too, and I do have a weakness for like really shitty pop music sometimes. Like I was telling somebody this weekend, like my iTunes all looks great. All the music I buy is great, but there's some pretty incriminating evidence in my YouTube history.
Pop gets a bad rap, man. It's pop for a reason. It's popular. It's formulaic, and they've dialed in formula, and I think people don't want to admit that something that's so popular is well-crafted music,
Here's
because
the problem
it's
with
more
it.
special to say, oh, I like something that nobody else knows about.
Now here's the problem with pop music is it's so disposable. It seems like you can take. There are timeless pop divas. Like Madonna has had a hit in every decade since the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there Michael Jackson. I mean, come on, like.
Well, and then there's real substance in his
right,
music.
and like whatever you thought about him as a person, no one can deny his greatness as a performer and a musician. But a lot of pop music, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years after it's released, is completely forgotten about, and it's like they're just. It's like the disposable sandwich bag of music sometimes. It's like it's just meant to fill a void for that couple years, and then it's meant to deteriorate and go away. It's meant to be disposable. And
I think you see that with constructed pop artists.
right.
When you see it...
that's where the problem is.
Yeah, it's the fabrication of an idol of a pop idol,
right?
Versus somebody that is truly a musician,
like Justin Timberlake kills it.
Yeah, and he's a musician.
He will be Justin Timberlake for the next.
Bruno Mars is one that, I'm a big Bruno Mars fan,
Yeah.
and he's one of my favorite concerts that I've been to. But the guy plays pretty much every instrument in the band,
Right.
or is capable of playing. So there's nothing that musically he's not involved in, and he truly is a musician first and foremost.
Right.
I'm a big fan of the singer-songwriter genre because I love somebody sharing their innermost thoughts, crafting the music, and focused on the music first, the production second. And that's where I think pop is probably where you see the failures of pop music is in the production first and the song second.
Right.
When the lyrics and the melody take a back seat to the effects and the mixing and the production sides
Or
of
when
it,
the star
you end up
is-
with a hollow song.
When the star is bigger than the music they create.
True, yeah. The
You know,
music
it's
should be able to sustain.
Yeah.
And most of my favorite artists, I feel like that's true.
Right.
The best that they have to offer is their music, not their persona.
Right. Well, with all the greats, it seems like that. It's not very often that you come along someone who crushes it every time they turn on every time they plug in their guitar or their mic, and yet they can do so many other things well, excellent also. It's usually, you might have a musician that's very flamboyant and very outspoken and very interesting to watch, but it's not like they can dive into all these different areas and excel.
Yeah.
They might try, and they might get a lot of backing for those areas. Like one of the things that kills me is when actors and actresses release a CD of their music, and it's like, okay, listen, I know. It just seems to me that there's being a promoter for like I was for 7 years. There's so many talented bands that are great in their own right, that are unsigned out there on an independent label. They get gas money, they sleep in their van when they're on tour, they get $2 a day for their per diem for food if they're lucky. So yeah, they 3 of them put together and split a hot and ready at night for food.
I had hot and ready last night.
Yeah, great, but you don't want it to be 12 of your meals out of the week,
Right. Yeah.
But I like the hot and ready too. So
That's the
But let me finish that thought real quick, though, because you have those people who are out there just grinding, trying to make it happen. Then you have someone who's, say she's an actress and she's beautiful, and she's just trying to increase her platform, and so she'll release a CD. And it's like, I understand that you love music. I understand that you feel like you've created something. It may be heavily produced. It may be not. My buddy he's a producer in the movies, but he also produces music. He scores films. I know that there's been talent that's come to him and been like, hey, these are the songs I've written. And he's turned them from folk songs to country songs and to reggae songs to, until they find something that they like. And they're like, okay, let's go with that. Where it's kind of just like, hey, there's people with real talent out there that are actually trying to make it and making sacrifices, whereas they're not getting promoted by the agency that they've signed with to just put out a CD because they know the right person.
Yeah. Well,
So maybe that's my own gripe with it.
I would make the counter argument to that being
Yeah.
that as an artistic person, if you like to be creating, that outlet might be manifested in different areas. And so once you've made your splash in one and it's allowed you the network to have the opportunities, I think there's people out there that their true passion might have been something other than what they became famous for.
Right.
And then they try to explore it. Now, sometimes they're just not as good in one as the other. But there are those that I feel like, damn, they really they can do it all. They're really great. And I don't begrudge them for using one to give themselves the opportunity in the other.
I wouldn't
It's
say
like
begrudge. I'd say
people
it's an
that
annoyance.
are upset at Tebow for playing baseball. It's like, well, hey, if the guy can do it,
Right.
then don't be mad at him just because.
Is he still playing baseball?
No, I don't think so. But,
okay, therein lies my argument. He wasn't doing that because baseball was his passion. He was doing that
he played
to make
baseball
a little money.
growing
That's
up,
fine.
though. He could have done either. He just went the football route.
All right, but
that's all. I'm playing devil's advocate here,
and that's fine.
It's
we're not mad here. Oh, I love it. I love it. But what I'm saying is Tim Tebow. It'd be one thing if he was like, I just want to play baseball, and he tried it. But with him, it felt like I couldn't play football. Maybe I can play baseball, but either way, I can still be Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
It just felt like it was kind of like trying to inflate his Tim Tebow persona that had kind of.
But would you have said that about Michael Jordan when he went from basketball to baseball?
Yeah. Michael Jordan made a fool of himself when he played baseball.
But I'm saying the thing is, he didn't. I don't think necessarily did it to launch his persona anymore. I think he just decided, hey, why not? If I can, well, why not?
Well, you're asking the wrong person about this.
Well, we should be asking Michael Jordan. So get him on the podcast.
Well, I would, except for he's an asshole. I'm not. I love Michael Jordan. I don't deny his greatness on the basketball court, but I don't think he's a cool guy. I've heard stories where he's been a dick to people I know. One guy is a guy named Dean D'Amelio. I don't know him super well. He runs a podcast called The Gary and Dino Show, and he was a production guy for Tom Likas on the radio for many. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, Tom's all right. Tom's an entertainer.
It was a different time.
Yeah, Tom's an entertainer. And Tom was cool to me. I'd call in and we'd talk on the radio, so I can't say anything bad about him that way. I don't agree with all his philosophies.
I used to listen to him.
But damned if he's not entertaining. Pleasure. Yeah, but I've been on Tom's show probably 4 or 5 times. Just I'd answer the phone. Dean lived in Mesa when he went to ASU, and so they put me right on the radio. And so the first time I called in, Dean told me to fuck off. I reminded him about that after a while. He's like, "Oh, I probably did. So what?" He's a funny guy. He's from Chicago. I think he's from Chicago. I think this story happened in Chicago. But he was working, whether he is or not, he lives in L.A., working at a hotel where Michael Jordan was staying. And at 3 a.m, he brought him up like a $200 or $300 bottle of champagne as the concierge. Michael Jordan opens the door, grabs the bottle out of his hand, and slams the door in his face. Another guy that I lived with was a limo driver in Chicago, and he drove Michael Jordan around all day. Mm-hmm. And at the end, when he dropped him off, he said, "Hey, it was an honor to drive you around." Not even a word. He looked at him and slammed the door in his face. And I'm going to point out the obvious here. Michael Jordan didn't tip either of these guys. And I've heard that from a lot of people. He's a non-tipping asshole. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Dude, when I met Chris Cornell, he was so cool to me. And like, I've met other people, and
right.
I gushed a little bit on Chris Cornell. I said, I told him he wrote the soundtrack of my youth, a big part of it, it's Chris Cornell,
yeah,
come on, man, and not every musician's into hearing that. Never anyone wants to hear them. Some of them heard it so many freaking times that they just don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah, I have to admire the patience of what it would take to be a celebrity.
Yeah.
And come across as a good person to all your fans all the time.
Right.
But there are those that do it.
Yeah.
And there are those that choose to be, above everybody all the time.
Right.
And, I think the celebrity thing, people, we want to put them on a pedestal sometimes, and we forget that they're just people too. And
right.
Some of them were assholes before and will be assholes after.
Maynard from Tool gets a bad rap for that. He's heard it so many times that he just, if people are like, "Hey, I just wanted to say," because it all starts the same way.
Right.
He'll kind of put his hand up and walk away. Now, if you want to talk to him about wine, if you want to talk to him about jiu-jitsu, he's cool. Mm-hmm. But I get it. I get it after a while. Like I can get not being friendly to someone who's there to gush.
Right.
You know, because you're just living your life on a Wednesday afternoon, picking your kids up from school or taking your dog on a walk or the money to the bank, and you've got a million other things going on in your head, and all of a sudden someone wants to have this deep conversation about how you've affected their life. It's like, thanks. Can you write a letter?
Right.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, I got stuff going on, you know, and imagine that happens 25, 30 times a week. Like after a while, it's like, you know, I can see what Eminem's talking about.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between that and like going to a restaurant, having someone do a job where you're supposed to tip, or have someone do work for you. Like
Right.
you're essentially hiring them,
Yeah.
and being disrespectful to that person.
Oh yeah.
And that's where Michael Jordan kills it for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, come on, dude, these people are essentially working for you. Like,
Right.
Be cool. You know, like, you know.
Yeah.
But he's the greatest, or one of the greatest things to ever touch a basketball. You know, I can't deny him that. And he did it in a league that was stacked with talent because everybody was playing 2 years of college, getting those fundamentals. You know, even your seventh, eighth man on the bench was drilled on those fundamentals for at least 2 years of his life before he made it to that next level of talent. So, I mean, some people argue that they watered down the league with the expansion of the Timberwolves during that time. I think that's horseshit. You're talking about, 20 more people in the league of how many people? Like, come on. But, I mean, yeah, it was a different era back then. Like, it was more fundamentals. It was more skill and less raw talent. Maybe.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not the biggest basketball fan.
I hate basketball now, but I used to love it back then.
Commentary on that too much. My understanding's limited in that one.
Yeah, I used to love it, man. But since that whole Tim Donaghy scandal, where he was shaving shaving points, and it was directly responsible for the Suns not winning a championship, it killed it for me. I mean, how your team that you've watched since you were a little kid didn't make it there because of corruption, and the Spurs, who you hate, you know, and not only that, but the Spurs aren't even like, yeah, we understand that one of these championships should have an asterisk behind it because Tim Donaghy's a piece of shit. No, we're the greatest team that's ever lived. It's like they're like the cheating Patriots, man. I love the Patriots for whatever reason, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, Bill Belichick, bro. It could be like 40 degrees, raining, and he's out there in a hoodie.
Yeah.
Just like the most pissed off, angry millionaire in New England.
I'm not a bandwagon fan by any means, but I always get excited when you have opportunity to see history made. And you know, so I didn't have a real strong feeling for the Super Bowl this year either way, but I would have been okay with seeing the Patriots win it just for another display of greatness.
Yeah.
And you know, in the levels as the sports continue to just get more and more elevated in terms of pure athleticism and talent.
Yeah.
And it's that competitive. You just don't
And that's the
see
thing,
greatness that often.
They are that great. They don't need to cheat.
I you know, that's allegedly. I'm not.
Oh, come on, dude.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Okay, I'm gonna say if it had just been Tom Brady deflating those balls, maybe. But like a couple years ago, they got caught recording other teams' practices.
Yeah, okay.
I love the Patriots, but they don't need to cheat. You know, like I'm the type of like. I think Bill Belichick is not beneath having like a quarterback's family kidnapped. You know, like. But I love the guy. I'm weird with some sports teams. Like I love the Yankees, love the Patriots, love the Lakers. Love it when they lose. Love the ownership, love the way, love the logos, love the way it's all set up. And when they lose, I'm like, yes. Now if they win, it's cool too. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, I don't care. But I think it's a little sweeter when they lose. I'm weird like that, man.
Yeah.
So the only teams I really don't like and I'm happy when they lose are Texas teams for whatever reason. Except for the Rangers because Nolan Ryan's a badass, but, you know, yeah. I'm weird, man, when it comes to sports. So that's why I like jiu-jitsu is it's not like a team or like a local collective so much as it's an individual reflecting his coach's training.
Yeah.
So it's more individual and more individual based. I mean, yes, you do have teams, but like they're kind of an afterthought to the one-on-one conditioning, training, and coaching of each specific athlete. So, but yeah.
I'm not too invested in sports overall, but
Really?
you know, it's entertainment at the end of the
it is.
day, and it's just one of those things where right now there's so many different places that you can get lost and divert your time and energy.
Yeah, I still like the NFL, and I still like baseball.
Well, I did my first fantasy football league this year.
Yeah, that's
so
right. Let's talk about
my
that.
involvement in football skyrocketed.
Oh, mine too. It went from being a Cardinals fan to being like,
I was rooting for the Seahawks for the first time in my life.
dude,
I had Russell Wilson. You know,
Dude.
it changes everything. I
had Des Bryant. I hate the Cowboys. I love it when they lose, but I'm like, all right, I want Des Bryant to score 2 touchdowns, and I want the Cowboys to lose.
I resisted doing fantasy football for a long time, and I think it's because deep down I knew that I'd probably like it, and you know I was right. It's a
lot more.
It's
cerebral.
a lot of fun,
Yeah,
you
a
know.
lot more
But you turn
strategy.
anything into a competition, and I'll do it.
Yeah.
I joined a friend's bachelor fantasy league.
There you go.
You know, and I'd never watched an episode of The Bachelor.
They have a fantasy league for The Bachelor?
Yeah.
What?
It's run through the same app that we use for fantasy football, and
Are you drafting like
You're-
contestants on
Yeah.
The Bachelor, dude? This sounds wrong. This
you know,
sounds like
if-
we'll get in trouble for talking
if
about
I was
this.
willing to admit to the Shakira thing, I shouldn't have been willing to admit to the Bachelor thing. But yeah, I had 2 friends that said, yeah, you know, we have a Bachelor fantasy league, and I was like, well, what is that all about? They're like, oh, you go on and you pick which girls are going to make it.
These are women, right?
Yeah, which girls are
I
going to get a
figure.
rose. No, it's a husband and wife. 2
Oh,
good
okay,
friends
that
of
makes
mine.
sense.
Yeah,
That
so
makes
no, it's a
sense,
guy
yeah.
that does it too.
Yeah.
And,
well, he let's be honest.
His wife got him into it.
He's being supportive.
But again,
Yeah.
you
He
turn it
enjoys
into a
it, but he's being-
competition, and you can get into it. So
Yeah.
you know the things you're getting points on are like, will a bachelor and one of the contestants take a dip in the hot tub this week? And so you put yes or you put no, and if they go in the hot tub that week, you get 10 points.
So you're
And
sitting there like, get her in
accumulating
the hot tub,
points.
bro.
Yeah, you're
You know,
accumulating points all season long, and it's like, oh yeah, these girls are getting sent home at the beginning of the year. You pick who's going to get the last rose, and that's worth like, you know,
That's
100 points
That's
or
like
something.
putting $100 on the.
yeah,
It's like putting $100 on Carolina. You know.
yeah, and we did it just without money involved. I mean, if somebody threw down money on it, now all
Oh
of a
my
sudden I'm going to be a
gosh.
bachelor expert. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, dude.
turn it into a competition, and I can get interested.
Dude,
real
fantasy
fast.
football was so much fun this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was cool.
I'd like to say that Aaron Rodgers is a big jerk for getting hurt and
How
fucking
dare
up
he.
my season.
Yeah, how dare you?
I know. I'm sure that was his biggest concern. You know, like, dude, Jesse's gonna be pissed. You know. Yeah. Who else did I have? I had Marshawn Lynch.
I was pretty proud of Zach Ertz going
Yeah.
into the Super Bowl. I had him all season. You know, that's the thing. I didn't know anything about any of these guys. You know, you just kind of get wrapped up in it and you start learning a little bit. And
I still don't know who like half
Half of
my
them
best
are.
performers are. You know, first season. You know.
Yeah.
Actually, it's my second season. That's a lie. I got excommunicated from the first league that I participated in. Like, these guys take it serious.
yeah,
Oh yeah. And I got a call one afternoon, and like, I thought my buddy wanted to fight me. Like, and this guy would have beat the crap out of me. But like, he was that pissed. Where like swearing at me. Like, I don't think we talked for like 4 months.
Jeez.
This buddy and I. Like, they get real serious. And I was like, dude, what do I have to do to end this? He's like, sign over your team. Someone's gonna play. I'm like, oh, fine, done. Sorry. You know,
Jeez.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't take it that seriously.
Yeah,
I don't think
not
I ever
allowed
would.
back.
But
I'm not allowed back. Yeah. So, but I'm not the only person that got kicked out of that league. Someone else did too, and it was equally as merciless.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They're not. They're apparently it's not a game.
Right.
You know? So, but it was fun, man. We had some good times. I heard about the face-off with Michael Cavanaugh.
Yeah.
When he came into the gym. You want to tell that story? Or should I? From what I heard?
I'm not sure I'm following you on which story, so I'll let you tell me.
So Michael Cavanaugh is a guy that we work out with, and me and Jake have talked about him on the show before. He's a pilot. I'm going to go ahead and say it. He's the old man in the gym. He's what, 54?
Yeah, I don't know. He's got to be up there.
I'm pretty sure he is the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah, like whether he is or not, we're declaring him the oldest right here.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, he talks a lot of trash, so
Yeah.
he's definitely enjoys the trash talk. So it was his first year, and at the very beginning of the season, he put out a post saying, "I know you guys all think that I'm not a threat. This is my first time doing this, but we'll see." And so anyway, he won.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine. But then he posted him and his wife on a freaking cruise drinking. He's like, "Hey, I'd like to thank," and he listed everybody who played, and he said, "Thanks for donating the money for our drinks on this cruise." And it's like, all right. But the real one, before that, was he showed up to get the money at the class that you were supposed to be teaching, and you had a conflict that day.
Oh,
and
that's
you didn't
right.
show up to
He
teach.
made an Instagram post calling me out that I was afraid to show up and coach the kids. And publicly shaming me.
And so then he's coming off an injury, so he can't go live. But a couple weeks later, he shows up in class, and he's a little late, and he needs to drill. And he's looking around, and it so happens that there's only one group with 3 people in it, and you happen to be the odd man out with a shit-eating grin on your face. And as Andre waves him on the mats, you say, "Professor Andre, do I have permission to indoctrinate Mr. Cavanaugh?" And he looks at you and says, "Permission granted."
Yeah.
And then
he said, "Hey, I'm still hurt, so take it easy." And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." But one of the things I'm blessed with is a good memory, and, so I'll let him physically recover for a while. And
it'd be much more fun if you can put him through a little more pain once he's physically recovered.
Yeah.
You can't really torture an injured man that much and have it be satisfying, right? I mean, come on. So. Yeah, it was funny though. We had a fun time, and I can't wait to do it next year. I just hope that Aaron Rodgers stays healthy.
Yeah, it surprises me too that you don't have to be a big football fan to do it. It's just something that can be kind of a casual thing. And
you can once a week just go and look at the trades and stuff, and just see who has the highest percentage.
It's funny because I always hear about the rookies. People that aren't big fans. The girlfriend that begrudgingly enters into her boyfriend's fantasy football league and then wins the whole thing.
Yeah,
I feel like that story happens a lot.
That league I referenced last year, one of the guy's wives won it. She's a Ford model, and he's the bass player for Jimmy Eat World.
Oh, okay.
Or no, the guitar player, and his wife's a Ford model. She won, and at the end of the year party, I think she was out of town or something, but she showed up. She didn't even show up to get the money. Tom was going to get it, and all the guys were like, "No, Tom, she has to come get the money."
Yeah, they shouldn't have released the funds.
We're not going to give it to you, But at the end, they gave it to him. It's all Tom's brothers and his buddies, So, but
oh boy, there was a time Jimmy Eat World was another one of my favorite bands.
Oh, dude, they're still one of my favorites, man. Have you listened to this last album?
No,
dude. Sure and Certain is one that's on the radio a lot, but they've got this song called "Pass the Baby," and it's unlike any Jimmy Eat World song I've ever heard. It starts really like it's the longest song on the album, and it starts out like real slow and kind of like eerie, and it's kind of like melodic and eerie, and it builds, and at the end it's a breakdown that lasts like 3 minutes. And all the mellow music that Jimmy Eat World has made through the years.
Yeah.
It's like they've been holding in aggression and holding in it all through the years, and it all comes out in the last 3 minutes of this song. It sounds like a Tool riff. Like, it sounds like...
Yeah, I'm not big on, the metal sound or,
Just give this one a listen. For me,
my
one
favorite,
time.
My favorite musician is John Mayer, so I mean that tells you anything.
Yeah.
But he's the reason I picked up a guitar. And
John Mayer's got incredible talent.
Yeah,
and I hear he grows good avocados too. I think he's got an avocado farm or something.
That's Jason Mraz.
Oh,
Jason
really?
Mraz has an avocado farm.
That guy?
In San Diego, yeah. Another one of my favorites.
Really?
Yeah.
He's one of your favorites?
Yeah.
Good thing I didn't make
A Jason
comment
Mraz
about
joke?
it. I was just about to when you said that. Yeah, I love Jason Mraz.
Yeah, I'm, like I said, I like the singer-songwriters.
That's cool.
John's, he's my guy.
Yeah.
I Snapchat him pictures of my food and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm like, hey, check out, I'm eating this peanut butter and jalapeno jelly burger at Arizona Wilderness Brewery, and I'm like, John Mayer needs to see this.
Nice.
So I snap it.
So when you're cutting weight and you're making weight, do you send him like progress pics of you?
No? I just send him food and other random stuff.
Gotcha.
He never opens any of it. It's disappointing.
John, I'm calling you out right now.
My hero is fallen from grace because he doesn't snap me back.
That's awesome, dude. That's like me sending. I'll actually send people stuff like, "You're awesome." Yeah, they don't ever open it either.
No, it's
Can't
always
imagine
cool. Like,
why.
I've had a couple friends that have posted stuff on Instagram, and like a celebrity, liked it, or
Yeah.
they like commented, and the celebrity added them, and there's like, their day's made, and that's what's kind of fun with some of the new technology is the ability to connect is so
Yeah.
great, and it's cool when you see celebrities play along and be good sports
Yeah.
about it, and
I actually have a Twitter story about something like that.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you know who David Avocado Wolf is?
Yes, I've seen your the last, what has it been, 2 days now? Is that when that happened? Is this all real time when I saw it on Facebook?
Well, it started like 6 months ago.
When did the review thing start?
Just a couple days ago.
And he gained like 5,000 one-star reviews in a matter of a few hours or something crazy.
Between 10 o'clock p.m. or no, it was 8 o'clock p.m. and like 7 o'clock a.m., 6 o'clock a.m. Yeah.
So I've seen plenty of people, repost David Avocado Wolf's stuff on Facebook, and I don't really know that much about him.
Okay.
So when I saw you post this, and then the rest of everything,
the ferocity of which I displayed it,
I was like, holy smokes! And so I've been trying to play a little bit of catch up on the whole thing. You want to fill me in on the details with that guy. I know he's pretty well known.
I'll start out. I'll try to be as non-biased as I can in the beginning part of this.
Okay.
And then I'll let you know exactly how I feel about him, which pretty much people already know. He's a chocolate farmer. He's a superfood expert, and that's a good or bad thing based on whether you believe that there's an actual thing of a superfood or not. Food is food. Some is more nutritious than others. None of it is super unless it's cooked really, really well and it's delicious. Then it's
right, yeah. This tastes super. Yeah, like, that's
super
the extent
delicious.
of it, right?
Yeah. So kale is healthy for you, not a superfood. Mm-hmm.
Acai and all those, yeah.
Yeah, they're good for you, not a superfood. Mm-hmm. So he's a superfood expert, and he'll make claims like he's got this video where he's all, chocolate is a degree of sun energy. It lines up planetarily with the sun along the equator. That's why when you eat it, you're ingesting sun and realigning yourself with the planets. It's stuff like that.
Pseudoscience, just making
The
bold-faced lies. Really.
Yeah, the pseudoscience expert, like the snake oil guy. Again, I'm trying to be non-biased. So he's a speaker. He has a website where he sells amazing products. A wide variety of products on his website. He invests in companies and stuff like that. Like just anything where he can make a buck.
Yeah.
But he claims he's like he claimed he went to Princeton. He just has all these different claims.
Most of which are provenly false.
Exactly. And I'll get to that in a minute. But my big problem with him is I know people who people with either Crohn's or lupus, treatable diseases that if left untreated get serious quick. Mm-hmm. And what he will do is he will reach out to these people personally on social media and say, Big Pharma is trying to keep you sick. You need to go to my website and buy my stuff. I have the stuff that will cure you. And so, listen, Big Pharma is a business. They're out to make money, yes. But the reason why is because they're in the business of creating cures. The scientists that are making these cures are just as likely to get cancer or AIDS or whatever disease as anyone else. Or people they love are just as likely to get these diseases. And to assume that just because you work for a pharmaceutical company that you're in on some big secret of keeping cures safe and keeping people sick is offensive to every level of humanity, because it's just people doing this research.
Right.
So it's not perfect. Yes, it's money driven, but we live in a capitalist society.
Right.
And without money, you don't get shit done. And you can either be a hippie and sit there and bitch about the problem, or you can use the system to do good. And people don't get it. And so he does stuff like that. But he sells these shark bands where they're supposed to send off some electrical frequency where if you're wearing them, there's no way a shark would ever want to come near you.
I need one of those.
Dude, a guy got bit by a shark in Australia just like a couple years ago wearing one of them.
Sharks are my biggest fear.
Oh, dude, I'm scared of sharks like right now where we're sitting in Gilbert, Arizona.
Living in Arizona, and that's the thing.
Yeah, so anyway, there's a woman named Yvette Deontremont.
Okay.
Her handle is the Sci Babe, or the Science Babe. And she used to work for Gawker.com before Hulk Hogan and his attorney bankrupted it because they were instrumental in getting Hulk Hogan screwed over in his divorce because of some articles they wrote. So she was a laboratory scientist. Very intelligent woman, very well spoken, and a superb smartass. And she wrote a article on Vani Hari, the food babe, calling her out on everything. She's the girl that's like, hey man, if a third grader can't pronounce it, you shouldn't eat it. And Yvette's like, hey, don't base your diet on the verbal skills of a third grader.
Right.
So, and she goes after people like that. Well, she recently released a dossier on David Avocado Wolf called David Avocado Wolf is the Biggest Asshole in the Multiverse.
Oh.
You can Google it. It is excellent. They hired private investigators to go into all his past business dealings. They talked to all his past business partners. They talked to all his old teachers. They talked to they investigated every claim he's made essentially with PIs, and they got the facts from the source.
Wow. She
released it, and he threw a fit on social media. Like, we were talking about this on Twitter over the last 2 days, and she's like, I've never seen him lose it like that on social media. Now, I was scrolling through Facebook when she wrote, David Avocado Wolf is throwing a tantrum on Twitter. I looked at it. It had been posted 4 minutes ago, and I was like, that's kind of sounds like something I'd like to see. So I went over, and they're going back and forth, so I start attacking David Avocado Wolf. I'm like, hey, dude, you're a charlatan, you're a snake oil salesman, and you deserve everything you get. He rounds on me personally, and I told him, I was like, listen, man, every single person that you convince to forgo traditional treatment and buy that bullshit off your website, if they die, their blood is on your hands. And he responded with, well, if that's the case, every person that dies under traditional treatment, their blood is on your hands. And I was like, I'm not really following your logic here. But I'm like, yeah, that stuff that you sell is bullshit. It doesn't work. And he goes, I'll prove it. I go, prove it? This guy? This fucking guy asking me for proof? Like, this guy's ever asked for proof on anything in his life. Ever. Ever. I ran out of character spaces because I wrote ever so many times on Twitter. And he challenged me to a cage fight. And I was like, dude, I would love to fight you, bro. Well, before that, I go, proof? You want to talk about proof? How about you prove that those shark bracelets do something other than make you look lame? Did you call that guy's family that got bit by that shark? You should have covered his medical bills. And he challenged me to a cage fight. And so I was like, David, really, you've got such an important message that only South Park is the only venue worthy, the platform worthy enough to get this message to the masses. And so I kept tagging South Park in it over and over again. And people were liking it and retweeting it. South Park probably got hit like 100 times that day on Twitter.
And hopefully they saw it then.
Well, I still kind of give them a heads up from now and again, like, hey, they got tagged a couple times this weekend. He blocked me. So,
now you're somebody, huh?
Yeah. Oh no, it's a big club. It's a big club, bro. Like you look, like you go through people's bios on like Twitter and stuff. They'll say blocked by David Avocado Wolf. Mm-hmm. It's usually people that are heavy in the science and skeptic community, or people that just are big fans of reality in general.
So did he shut his page down?
No, his moderator took the tab off. And he's like, the thing is he's like, I run all my social media myself. But yeah, they took the tab off. Like.
So are the reviews down and you just can't add any more reviews?
Yeah, but I got screenshots of that shit.
Yeah.
So, like,
That's
I checked
funny.
it at like 8, and by 9 when I checked it again, it was gone.
I don't dislike some of the people that, that have become kind of the online life coaches and
Life coaching
come
is
up
different.
with businesses
if
like
they
that,
actually
but-
have something valuable to offer, some good
If you're
insight.
just peddling BS.
Yeah, like Vani Hari, Eric Du Bois with the Flat Earth Theory, David Avocado Wolf. Who's that other one? Those people that are making money off this, they should be charged, prosecuted, and they should serve time. Like it's bullshit, like it makes me mad, dude, because this guy is preying on people who are vulnerable. They're sick, they're scared, they're looking for answers, they're willing to try almost anything, and that's when he zooms in right in. It's like, I got the stuff for you. And you know what? They're going to be dead in 10 to 15 years anyway, so, like he's...
Yeah.
So if I would love to cage fight David Avocado Wolf, I would love it.
Start a GoFundMe page or something to
Bro.
get his plane ticket out here.
Yeah, dude, I would seriously. We'd sell tickets, we'd stream it live. All the money would go to Phoenix Children's Hospital. I would either want like somebody like Jocko Willink or Joe Rogan or Mike Beltran to be the referee or the commentator. Like that would be awesome. I'd like it to be mixed martial arts because then I could like
As opposed to
Jiu-jitsu or something like that.
Oh.
Because I could take my time with that guy, and there'd be a lot of people in there that would rather be in there besides me, and so I want to make it.
Does he have any background in anything?
I don't care if he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I would. Yeah, there would be a lot of. You'd be like fighting that guy at school, man. At this point, like I don't like him. It's personal. I've got a lot. And the thing is, dude, I've got like 200 friends that like his page. like all right, okay.
Oh yeah, I've seen his name pop up many times.
All over the
so I
times,
know that
man.
there's people
Yeah.
that, and if it's a simple little quote or something that people repost, like they may not even know who he is.
Right.
They're just reposting something that's
And some of his stuff
inspirational.
sounds good.
Yeah.
But what I'll say is that's a great quote. David Avocado Wolf is a charlatan. Please don't share David Avocado Wolf memes. It's like a movement that like don't
It's
never
gained
cry
some
wolf.
traction now.
Don't cry wolf, never cry wolf.
That's
wolf
the thing with
an
the
E.
internet, man. You can become viral real quick for good or for bad.
For bad. And people can be duped, man. Like that one kid who was crying about being bullied, and his mom put it was like a month ago, 2 months ago. And he's like,
was it all fake?
well, he was being bullied, but he was being bullied because he called some black kids the N-word and threw up the Hitler sign.
Oh.
And his mom on social media had like pictures of this 8-year-old kid carrying Confederate flags and stuff. And it's like, but for like 3 or 4 days, they
left that part out.
They had a GoFundMe that was blowing up. Like he was getting shared. Like UFC fighters were wanting to bring him out to UFC fights. Yeah, man, everybody was talking about this. And he was a cute little goofy looking kid. You felt bad for him.
Yeah.
I did. I was just like, oh man, and then when it came out, I was like, you got me, bitch. I fell for it.
Thought you were duped.
I was pissed.
Bamboozled.
I was pissed, but yeah, man, it's people can fall for anything, man.
Oh, there's this one YouTube guy that I'd never even heard of that just kind of fell from grace here a few weeks back for posting a video of somebody that had committed suicide.
Logan Paul.
Yeah, Logan Paul. And then he just
A week later,
tasered a couple of rats or something
Yeah, like
now.
this-
And it's like, dude,
well, dude, you
got to
look-
have an internal filter on some things.
right. Well, you
that-
look at that kid and his brother's posts, and they're douchebags.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, they're
They understand marketing.
yeah.
though,
Well,
for
they're
better
two
or
of
worse.
YouTube's bigger, younger stars with big followings.
Yeah.
And so YouTube is kind of like
They build them up a little bit.
with YouTube how it works. If you're making money, they're making money.
Right.
So these guys make YouTube a lot of money.
But now I guess they just pulled all his advertisements.
Oh, did they? Did they
Yeah.
demonetize his stuff?
Yeah.
It's about time. But they're the kind of guys like, man, if you're making money off YouTube, you should be grateful that you have a fun job that's making you money.
Well,
And
I
you
know
should
he
be-
was making like 6 figures plus
oh,
on YouTube,
easy,
which is insane.
Like his brother had a video. He's like, man, I only made $30,000 this week. If I have a week that's $30,000, I want to kill myself. And I'm like, dude, you're a douchebag.
That's
If
stupid
if
thing
you
to
make
say.
$100 in a week off YouTube, you should be grateful that you got $100 in your pocket, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's YouTube.
For creating content.
Yeah,
you're like
and it's not like you're grinding out on a song,
right.
or a movie that requires a million people to come together to all nail their role. It's not like you're filming yourself having like what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's entertaining, it's fun, but like this, I'm doing it by myself. Like this doesn't take a huge
right
production.
There's no barriers to entry.
Right,
with
and
this
that's why
stuff. It's
people do
amazing.
it. Is because it's easy and it's legit and it's still the Wild West. And if you
Yeah.
make it, bro, like people out there mining for gold back in the day, like prospectors and stuff during the Great Gold Rush. You think they were pissed because they only found like a couple of grams of gold that day?
Mm-hmm.
No, man, they were stoked. They found some gold.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
but Logan Paul's a douchebag. And I love how Chris D'Elia has just like not let this go.
Oh, really? I haven't heard.
yeah.
I haven't heard his stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
It's I mean, the amount of earning potential for something that you don't need any formal education or background for, it's just phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
But it's cool too because something like this, and I told you when you mentioned you had a podcast, I was like, all right, you got a supporter now. And I didn't even need to hear it.
Yeah,
it's
thank
just
you.
like I think it's awesome that people decide to just turn on the webcam and start making YouTube videos or start doing podcasting, and you go into it knowing that it's not necessarily going to be monetized right away or
Right.
maybe ever, but it's just you're doing it because there's a passion for it.
It's fun.
and it's interesting, and you have the accessibility now to an audience to share your thoughts. And for better or for worse, I think that ideas are worth getting out and getting spread and let
Right.
people sort through the good ones and the bad ones. And it's the whole podcasting thing I'm such a big fan of. I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
And the way that it's replacing traditional media is crazy.
Thank you. I appreciate your support and appreciate your kind words.
Yeah.
And you do support me, bro. Like I'll come in and be like, dude, I just listened to such and such. I'm like, oh, sweet, man.
Oh yeah, the one with
Yeah.
Larry Wingett was cool.
Larry's a force of nature.
It was a short podcast, and that was one where I feel like there was a lot of good little gems sprinkled throughout that interview from him.
I try to get as much in a short amount of time as I could.
Yeah,
It was
a fun one.
A lot of the people that I bring on are awesome people, and they're amazing, and they've got super interesting things to talk about, but they don't necessarily have their own platform.
Right.
So I feel like I have to spend the first little while kind of introducing them and letting my listeners kind of get to know them to build a little rapport.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of dig into some of the more just deep thinking parts of it.
Yeah. Start spitting
Yeah.
some stuff back and forth.
Larry doesn't have that problem. Like a lot of people know who Larry is. He's on Fox Business. He's on Fox News. He's a New York Times best-selling author.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I didn't feel like I had to do that quite so much.
No, you're able to just dive right into the meat and potatoes.
Well,
there.
I mean, if you go to YouTube and you type in his name, mine video doesn't come up for like
pages.
25 pages. He's got a
but
lot
it
of
is in
content.
there.
It's in there.
It is in
somewhere.
Yeah. You know what's cool too? Because you said, does he have his own podcast?
He's got 2.
Yeah, so that's one of the other things that I'm loving about this podcast thing is that it's becoming this community.
Yeah.
And you see people that have their own podcast, as a guest on somebody else's podcast,
Yeah.
and then back and forth, and it's like there's no real scarcity of opportunity in podcasting. It doesn't have to be this purely competitive environment.
Totally.
As people start looking at it, it's like, man, I just wish I had got into something like this sooner.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, as competitive as it is, as many people are jumping into it, there's that many. It's exponentially, the audience is also increasing at a greater rate.
Right.
So yeah, there's more people doing it, but there's so many more people that are looking
Listening
for
to
it.
Yeah.
That the slices might be a little bit smaller, but the whole pie is just growing
bigger.
so
Yeah.
fast. And so that's one of my favorite things now, is seeing some of these people on, that have their YouTube channels and are podcasting, and then seeing who starts jumping over to each other's podcasts.
Right.
And it's just so fun watching some of these personalities come together.
Well, the Canadian Godfather, Stephen Kesting, has his own podcast, grapplingarts.com.
Yeah. And you got him on there
Dude,
within
he
your
was,
first 30 episodes.
Oh, he was so cool to come on.
Yeah.
You're in the first 30 episodes, man.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll be one of the OGs now
one of
when
the
you're
OGs.
celebrating
Jake's
the
been on
1,000th
twice,
episode.
But yeah, he was great, Hunter Motz, who is the co-host of the Mixed Mental Arts podcast with Brian Callen.
Oh, yeah.
Brian's on Joe Rogan's podcast a lot. He came on my podcast. That's been huge for me, man. Like, I'll be going through my logistics on YouTube, and I'll be like, somebody listened to me in Uganda. It's like, oh, Hunter Motz.
Oh, and you can see how
I can
works.
see anywhere, within the U.S., I can see what states are listening, when they've listened, and what they're listening to the most.
Oh, that's cool.
And I can see, I have a real time where I can see when someone's listened to it within the last hour or within the last 48 hours, what podcast they listened to. I can see how long my average view time is.
Yeah.
But yeah, anytime I get some, and bear in mind, I went to England and Wales on my mission, and there were a lot of Mormon missionaries from all over Europe. And so when I get like a Scandinavian country or like England or like Germany, France, it's like, okay, that's awesome that someone's listening to it there. But I also know people in those countries, so it might be them, Every now and again, something will pop up where I have no connection at all to this country. And I click on it, it's like, oh, someone's listening to Hunter Motz. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Or Stefan, or, well, not Larry yet because he's still pretty new, but somebody else came on my podcast. Kevin Folta is another big one.
Okay.
He's a biotech. He's a GMO guy, land grant scientist out of the University of Florida. Super smart guy. And he came on, I think he's like episode 4 or something like that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody that has a podcast that comes on, usually they've come on after I've listened to them for a while. And I think, listen, you're the shit. I want you to come on my show.
Right, yeah.
So,
and that's
yeah.
it's always kind of in the complimentary, side of things of just having a genuine interest in the people, where it's not like you're trying to promote something. You're not asking them to come sell your product necessarily.
Right.
You're really giving them the opportunity to sell their product.
Yeah.
And to share who they are and to share, their thoughts, and if they've got, their own audience, it just allows them to grow it. So it's very, I think, mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
Where you're not just calling in a favor to get somebody to come on.
Thank you.
It is a favor for you. And it helps
me.
you grow your audience.
Right.
But you're able to share each other's.
Yeah.
And, I know you've had some people that, like Larry, he may have looked at it as like, okay, well, I don't know anything about who this guy is or
Right.
whatnot, but hey, hopefully it'll still be a benefit to him. And,
Yeah.
I didn't really know much about him. I'd heard his book title, but
Yeah.
now he's got a new Facebook friend and
Very
follower
cool.
in me. So, obviously it still allows outreach for minimal to zero investment other than your time.
Right. And even if it only increases your platform by 0.0001%, that's still an increase in your platform
Yeah.
that you didn't have to pay for except for just a little time.
And it's not a linear thing. It's definitely one of those that each person now, you get that spider web effect. It just keeps on going in different directions.
And a lot of these guys, a lot of these podcasters, I'm like, can I have you on again? They're like, yeah, let's do this, man.
Yeah.
So
Make some new friends.
Yeah,
and,
it's super cool.
It's networking right there.
It's awesome. You know the rapper Logic?
Yeah.
He has a line in one of his songs where he says, "Crazy how one day your heroes can someday be your brethren."
Right.
And like when I was talking to Stephen Kesting online, it was like, that kept that line was playing in my mind. But I have a whole. I try to like divide up my podcast with playlists. I have a ton of playlists on my channel for specific topics. Like I have authors, I have podcasters, I have jiu-jitsu players, I have film industry people, scientists, attorneys. I'm trying to topics that I'm very interested in, and I want to have multiple guests on that specific topic. I'm trying to have a specific playlist for that.
Oh yeah, that's
and then
smart.
when people come on multiple times, like I have a Jake Watson playlist.
Yeah,
so. But Jake gets great views. Like
he's got a good following.
Yeah, and Jake is entertaining to listen to.
Yeah,
he's so well spoken. That guy has such a bright career ahead of him. And like, man, he's trying to get sponsors and stuff. Like, if Onnit or Muscle Farm knew how dedicated he was and how focused he was. And just he's a good kid. He's not going to be that kid that gets caught with blow and a gun.
Right.
He's not going to beat up his girlfriend and get arrested.
Yeah.
He's not going to he's just not that
he's
kid.
He's a safe bet for
like
an investor
he's
sponsor.
easy money that way, man.
Yeah.
He is the franchise. And he's coachable. Like there'll be times when we'll be drilling something and he'll put his hand like maybe in a spot that's like 2 degrees off. And Andre checks him right there in front of the whole class.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even think about it, like he just does it. Like, oh, okay. It's like, there's no ego there. There's no pride that he got called out in front of the rest of the class. Like he's there to learn and get better just like all of us.
Yeah.
We've got really good coaches at where we're at, whether it's you and Quentin, Clayton, Jake, Andre, like we've got really, really solid upper ranking belts.
Has Andre been on here?
Not yet.
No.
I talked to him. He's like, yeah, we'll do it someday. He, I think he wants to get his thoughts together. You know, people get nervous coming on here.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no nerve. I was just pure excitement because I wanted to see what the setup was like.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I was like, man, I knew what was going to happen was I was going to come on here and then be like, God, I got to be more involved in stuff like this. Like it's just fun. It's cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I don't see the reason for it to be an intimidating thing, And it's not like you're going on on TV during prime time for an interview
I edit all
or
my
something.
stuff.
Yeah, it's just
so.
like fun. You're just
John got a little nervous for the first half of his podcast, then he kind of relaxed.
I could maybe hear that just a little bit.
Well, you know him
now that you point it out.
Yeah.
But
he relaxed. John will come on again, and he'll be the John Pfeiffer we all know and love. You know, like that guy's a big part of my improvement in jiu-jitsu. So I give that guy props. He beats the crap out of me relentlessly. He doesn't let me slip on technique. So, but yeah, man, we got a good crew at Maracaba Jiu-jitsu, man. So, but yeah, man. So you said you're into singer-songwriter music. What's some of your most played stuff you're listening to these days?
Oh, geez. I'm real eclectic in my music taste, and a lot of it changed when I started playing guitar.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, and then a couple years ago I started playing piano, and that's changed things up again a lot.
Dude, I love piano music just in general.
Yeah.
Like my cousin Lincoln Wright, he's the malpractice attorney, the guy that is the music guy at the Hill Theater. He came on this podcast, and we actually did some singing to the piano at the end of the podcast. It's horrible. He sounds great.
Yeah.
But he's an amazing pianist. So I think he has a CD where he plays Beatles on the piano for ballet music on iTunes. But like that's one of his hobbies is his timing is so good and he's so smooth as an accompanist that he'll go play live for this ballerina school while the girls dance to ballet. And he's like, Beatles is great, man, because it's all in 2/4, 4/4, and so it lines up perfectly with ballet music.
Yeah.
So, but
I'd say Billy Joel
Love
and
Billy Joel.
Stevie Wonder. Those are my like John Mayer is how I learned guitar. He's the reason I picked it up, and he's the way that I learned. I just started learning songs of his, and as I would progress and learn new little tricks and techniques, and with piano, it's been all Billy Joel. He's my piano teacher.
Billy's badass. Stevie is amazing.
Yeah,
Love Stevie.
He's great. I'm big on Motown in general.
Yeah, Stevie pops up in my my YouTube history, my YouTube stuff a lot. Like, he's just no one can nail it like Stevie.
No, there's a few albums that if somebody was to ask me, like, okay, well, what's your favorite song, or like, what are your favorite albums? Songs in the Key of Life is definitely one of those that always comes back around. The Asia album by Steely Dan is another one of my absolute favorites. Jeff Beck's Wired album, which is all just guitar,
Tight.
is phenomenal. And then I don't even know that I could narrow it down to just one Billy Joel album.
Yeah, they're great. I like a lot of Billy Joel.
Oh yeah,
I grew up listening to Billy Joel. Like, me and my buddy, actually, it's just a funny story that, like, whenever I hear Uptown Girl, like a couple years ago, me and my buddy, the guy that got mad at me during the fantasy football league,
okay,
we were working for his older brother at the glass shop. We were installing windows and doors and stuff, and driving around in the glass shop in the heat, just and in our 20s, we were not super wild, but we got a little wild here and there, and we're just sitting there, and he's just hilarious, this guy. And we're sitting there listening, that song comes on, and he's like, "That's right, she's never had a backstreet guy." I'm a backstreet guy. And when the song was written, that term was legit until the frickin' Backstreet Boys killed it, And so it's like, yeah, dude, that's me, the backstreet guy, But yeah, Billy Joel is crazy. Do you like Ben Folds?
I actually saw Ben Folds open for John Mayer.
Really?
It was the first time. I've seen John Mayer like 6 or 7 times. I'm a super fan,
Yeah.
But the first time I saw him was a blues trio, and then the second time that I saw him was actually like his more pop stuff, his full band.
Yeah.
And Ben Folds was the opener for him.
Tight.
And so I didn't know much about him at all, but yeah, he was really good, very talented.
Ben Folds, I did a show with Ben Folds. I didn't meet him, but as far as like getting the business done, production, getting in, getting out, getting paid, keeping it tight,
just professionalism.
Oh, he's on it. He gets, I think, $80,000 a show.
Wow.
And he tours with a tour manager and a sound engineer, and that's it. So
how
like,
you keep that $80,000.
Yeah. So like, say like you've got like a typical band with 4 people in it, and they get paid $80,000. They also have to pay out their tour manager. They have to pay out their label. They have to pay out their merch person. They have to pay out any guitar techs they have. So, I mean, yeah, like, and not only that, not only do you have to pay those people, but they got to travel with you.
Yeah.
So you got to pay for their traveling. You got to pay for their accommodations. You got to pay for their food. It adds up. So when you're on tour, less is more.
Yeah, you don't need a big audience
Right.
if you're keeping your production that small. There's an artist that I'm a big fan of, and he was signed by Columbia Records. This guy named Ari Hest, just a phenomenal singer-songwriter.
I'm not familiar, yeah.
And he's got plenty of exposure and YouTube views. One of my favorite shows I ever went to, he was playing up in Cave Creek, and there's a golf course that basically set up as a venue. He's playing on the right off the green on the 18th hole. And he's just got a stage, him and his guitar, and a drummer. He's selling his CDs and his merchandise. And what he does now mostly is he tours all over the country, driving.
Cool.
And his fans set up his shows. And so basically, he has people that contact his manager, and they basically, if they know they have enough people that will go, they set up the venue, and he just shows up and plays. And, he probably has a set rate in that. But other than just him and his drummer and the cost that it takes him to get around, that's it. Everything else is set up for him by his fans.
See, someone like that could start a YouTube channel and just put in daily a 20 or 30-minute video of them driving across country and kill it.
Oh yeah, just vlog and share that.
Yeah.
Well, he has some great little like concert recording videos of him playing in somebody's house.
That's
and
cool.
basically they're just such intimate things. And like I met this guy.
That's
There
cool.
was people giving him giving them copies of their music.
Right.
And at the time I didn't have anything recorded that I could hand it to him, and so I was like kicking myself about it. But he was basically saying, thanks. I listen to these because we have nothing else to do. We're on the road.
Right.
So, he's like,
Yeah.
believe it or not, I really will listen to your music.
Yeah.
And that, I guess that just comes to like defining success, and for that guy to go in and play all over the world, because he tours in Germany, and
Yeah.
he may at any given night not play more than for like 200 or 300 people.
Right.
That's tops the number of people that were at the show that I was at.
Yeah.
That would be just as gratifying to him, I'm 100% positive, as if he was doing like stadiums,
Right.
Like he's defined what success is for him. He's defined
made it.
that he's made it
doing
in his
what he
mind.
wants to do. Yeah, that's awesome.
And if you have that type of mentality, then I think it's a lot easier for you to make it than if you need to be the next Taylor Swift or something like
Right.
that. And to me, like, that's just such a cool format that he's really exploited in having a balance of being well known, but still being in such an intimate setting for most of his performances. He's
Yeah.
giving his audience the best of both worlds.
Yeah, somebody who else is really good at that. Maybe not quite to that level because he is a bit more established and more producing. But have you ever listened to Ace Enders?
No, I never even heard
He's
of him.
great. Singer-songwriter. I did probably 3 or 4 shows with him up in Salt Lake. He had a barbecue at one of his shows where he was cooking everybody burgers and dogs before
See, that's cool.
and taking pictures with them.
Yeah.
Super cool cat.
That's how you gain lifelong, loyal fans.
I wasn't
too.
even a fan, bro. Like, I'm sitting there talking to him. The first time I didn't even really talk to him much. I was just kind of like, hey, 'cause I'm working at the venue. We'd show up at I worked at the Avalon Theater in Salt Lake, right on State Street. It's now a kids music theater, but it's right across from Badass Coffee. It's like 80th South and State Street. Like 84th South. It's all done on the grid system. So 80th South is literally 80
Right.
1 mile city or 80 city blocks. Not 1 mile, but anyway. So we show up at like 11 or 12 when the band gets there, and we do their load in. You set up the headliner stuff first. They do their sound check. The next band, you set up all their equipment right, and their equipment's all at the back. Then the next person, you set up their stuff right in front of them, and the next person, right in front of them. On those smaller shows, there's a venue of like 800 people, especially because the sound engineers that we used really knew that room. A lot of times, it was only the headliner that would get sound check, and it always sounded pretty good. Like, I never had any bad complaints.
Right.
So you get out of there around 3, go hang out, get some food and stuff, come back by like, the show's at 7, you're back by 6:30. And, just getting ready to, watching the merch people set up and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're hanging out. A lot of times the people are on the tour bus, because their tour bus is like their bedroom. Like, if, on tour where you're not settled, you can go into your bedroom and just chill. Shut the door, basically same kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And so sometimes they'd hang on the tour bus, sometimes they'd hang in the building, because we had kind of a nice green room above the Avalon, and there was like a little balcony setup thing where they could watch the show from one side of the stage up there. And first time he came through, I didn't talk to him much, but it was like, hey, what's up? Cool, Second time I was out there while he was I was the security that was standing next to him while he was cooking the barbecue. And so we just started talking, and he was a super cool cat, and like cool to every single one of his fans, taking pictures, holding the spatula, by the 3rd or 4th show, it was like, oh, hey, Xander's coming through. These guys are chill. Yeah, okay, cool, Great guy. There's another guy, he's a local artist out of Pleasant Grove, Utah, singer-songwriter. I don't even know how he spells his name, but I know it's pronounced Ruru. And that is like some Jeff Buckley shit right there, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we never really had a show that like I could have put him on, but I remember thinking if a singer-songwriter comes through that actually that's not true. Like Greg Laswell came through. Greg Laswell is a great singer-songwriter. He's got a song that calls The Way That It Moves. That's just the jam. But with Ruru, I always wanted to put him on a show, but like I never was in the position to where I knew by the time I'd figured him out, I never had a show that would have come through that he would have really quite fit on. And putting an artist on the show that's not, even if it's not their same genre, if it's not like a cohesive genre, it can be really bad experience for that artist, both with the bands and with the fans. So, didn't want to do that. But those are some people you can check out right there: Greg Laswell, Ace Enders, and Ruru. So,
well, my gift to you then for the singer-songwriters is definitely that Ari Hest guy.
I'll check him out for sure.
He's a good one.
Yeah.
And the singer-songwriters, you just gotta love the stripped down one person.
It evokes strong emotion, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the quality of the craft of the song has it's exposed. It's as naked as it gets. It's all of its flaws, all of its strengths are going to be really showcased when it's one person and one instrument, and you don't have all the fluff that helps to make it radio ready. But the song itself has to stand on its own.
Well, it's also one of the oldest forms of music that we have, like wandering minstrels and bards and singer-songwriters.
Bards.
And,
we need to bring back bards.
Yeah, bards. Like or do you read Game of Thrones?
No, I might be one of the only people around that doesn't.
Yeah, don't watch it. It's not as good. I don't care what anyone says. Read it.
Okay.
Yeah, but they singers are a big part of that. Like, there's always a singer going around somewhere, and some of the royalty or some of the nobles like him, some of them hate him.
The earliest storytellers,
yeah. And they were, dude, back then, like, actors and singers were like drug dealers and pimps and hoes. Like, they were all in the same genre, like low class, like underbelly of society, like in ancient Rome. Like, whenever there was like a public thing, like no actors, no singers, no prostitutes, like it was like, we won't have any of that ruffians around here. It's like, now it's a respected profession and everyone loves them. But if you get close to it, you can still see its roots in the wildness with the partying and the antics that some of those people get up to.
I think it's a particular type of person that's drawn to that. And so there's other things that naturally are going to be commonalities among artists,
right?
You have to see the world in a certain way.
Yeah, it's like doing comedy.
Being a musician and having played in my largest crowds have probably been 50 to 100 people.
That's way more people than I've done comedy in front of.
Way
more.
Yeah, but it's a lot of playing in restaurants, wedding gigs, and stuff like that. But it's always just been more of a hobby that I was able to monetize to an extent. With that being said, I've never had much of a stage fright element. I enjoy performing, but to me, I think comedy's got to be the toughest gig out there.
Yeah.
When you go to watch somebody play music, there's not that part of you that's hoping that they bomb.
Right.
Comedians, I think, are up against that small instinct in every person that's equally entertained if you do terrible,
right?
As if you do great.
And concerts are noisy and loud, so even if there is a heckler, no one's gonna hear him.
No, comedy, it's like literally crickets, right?
Oh yeah.
And there's always that person there that's hoping you fail.
Yeah.
Or you have an audience that at best is neutral towards you, that you have to turn to your side.
Right.
And I have so much respect for comedians. It's just
I'm the laziest comic in Arizona, man. It's been probably 4 months since I've done comedy, and I need to get back into it or stop calling myself a comic. So
do the former,
yeah,
not the latter.
Yeah. I thought you said do the latter first.
No, I said do the former.
All right.
Just get back on that horse.
Yeah, just even if I were to do 1 or 2 open mics a week, like that's enough. I like to do it because I like to be able to do it.
Yeah.
I think it helps me with podcasting, things like that. But yeah, man, I think hecklers that go to comedy shows to heckle are pieces of shit.
I think deep down they just it's a nothing but a jealousy.
Possibly.
It's the part of you that recognizes maybe you wouldn't ever be comfortable up there, but it's easy to throw some stones their way.
It's the hater, like, oh yeah, you suck. I'd never get up there, but you suck.
Right.
The thing is you're going up against someone who's elevated, so they automatically have the high ground.
Yeah.
And they have a microphone
It's over,
and
Anakin.
a PA. Like if that comic, and a lot of them have, but if that, like some comics have a bit ready for hecklers. And they'll flip right into it and attack you.
Oh yeah. English comic. I feel like some of his shows will be largely based around him just destroying hecklers.
Yeah.
And there are some people that they almost, I feel like, are ready to dedicate a good portion of their show to just crushing hecklers.
Oh yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, I do too. I think if man, like the problem with hecklers is they think it's funny, but each bit of comedy that you see, like say you go to throw out a comic, like say Joey Diaz, right?
Okay.
Well,
I'm a big Tosh fan. Danny Tosh is my favorite.
We'll throw out a Tosh fan. Think about your favorite bit that he's released.
Yeah.
And understand that before that bit was funny, he performed it 40 times.
It was slowly refined until it was
until it was what it was.
But who knows how many misses that same jerk had.
It failed in so many rooms and hit in others. He's like, okay, I know this is funny. How do I make it funny for everyone?
Right.
And then you work through it, and you work through it, and you work through it. The problem is until you make it, until you've got regular slots, in LA especially, in New York it's even worse because there's so many people that in such a small space, and so many, like Seinfeld can do 4 shows in a night and take a cab from show to show.
Yeah.
And he does, So in LA you may drive 45 minutes to wait 20 minutes to do 4 minutes. And then you drive another, and these people are doing it 3 or 4 times in a night.
You're talking like the open mic kind of.
Yeah, just like where everyone starts out.
Kill it at an open mic and get asked back.
Right. Well, not even kill it. To bomb. Just to work through that material one time.
Just for a practice sake.
Yeah, like when people are like, you want to get good at free throw shots. So you line there and you take 50 free throw shots. May take you an hour. Okay? But a bit is like doing 1 free throw. It takes 20 seconds to make a free throw to get that rep in.
Yeah.
But for a bit, it takes 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes to get that 1 rep in for that bit. So to do that 20 or 30 times when you're new, you got to hustle. Like if you want to do that in less than 4 months, you got to double up on open mics. You got to drive. You got to wait.
Yeah.
So these comics, especially in LA, are grinding, man. And when you've done all that, you're just trying to get this thing out, and then some piece of shit that nobody came to see, that doesn't got any material, hasn't worked on it at all. And not to mention, you've probably rehearsed this bit for 4 to 6 hours before you rehearsed it the first time live.
Yeah.
And you got this no talent motherfucker, this no working asshole out there trying to like help you out and improve your, and like, no, dude, how about I do the bit I wanted to work on, and
right,
how about I do what I want to do up here, asshole? How about I'm doing this, you're not,
no
like
audibles.
So what I mean, yeah. So like, people don't realize how shitty they're being when they're heckling.
Right.
And I think if a lot of them that did, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like I saw Joey Diaz get heckled in Tempe, and he said he was making a comment about a dog. And he's like, this dog wasn't even scary. It wasn't a pit bull or nothing. And he didn't say anything negative about pit bulls. The fact of the matter is,
said something.
Some people are scared of pit bulls, This girl, 4 rows up in front. F you for making fun of pit bulls. And he's like, I said it wasn't a pit bull. And she said something else. And you could tell she was drunk.
Yeah.
And she said it like a minute after he said the bit. So it was just building. and her boyfriend stood up, put his head down over his eyes, and kind of shook his head and walked to the back of the room. He knew they were getting kicked out.
Yeah.
You know, he felt horrible. You know, like Joey Diaz is super cool, super funny.
He's one of the most well-liked comedians.
Dude,
he's just...
If you spend money on a Joey Diaz ticket, it's money well spent. He's one of the funniest comics I've ever seen live. When I met him after the show, I gave him a little high five like this. Mm-hmm. Slipped a joint into his hand.
Oh, really?
Thanks for coming out. Thanks a lot. But, yeah, dude, I mean, if you're heckling Joey Diaz... Really, if you don't like a comic, why are you there?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so, but
that's what makes comedy special is
yeah.
We ask that question, but there's that person that goes to the comedy club and then decides it's going to be their night to shine or something. You know, It's like, no.
With the local open mics, I think at the beginning they were like, "Is this guy heckling?" No, I just laugh at everything that's stupid. Like I have a loud, obnoxious, annoying laugh.
Yeah,
and not annoying, but it's distinct.
It's robust.
So, yeah, and I'll laugh at anything. So after a while, they're like, "Oh, okay, he's laughing." You know, but I don't think they knew because comics don't laugh at other comics at open mics.
Who's the Jeff Ross? I've seen him a couple of times, and he'll do a bit where he asks people up on stage and then does like a speed roast. And, you know, he's inviting the people up there, but you'll see sometimes somebody who's wanting to be a little more involved in what he's actually inviting them to be.
Right.
And, you know, his response is always, hey, take it easy. This isn't your big break. You know, and then just, you know, starts roasting them and stuff.
And he's the master at that, you know.
Oh, yeah, he's funny.
There was this one roast where Jamie Foxx was the roastmeister. And
is that the one where Jamie Foxx destroys another comedian on stage?
Because he tells Jamie Foxx he got lucky. He's like, "You're lucky you were in Ray. You're lucky you were in Ray." And you can see the look on Jamie Foxx, like, "Oh yeah, I'm lucky. I'm lucky. Okay."
Keeps the mic the whole time he's doing his bit.
Yeah. Am I bombing?
Yes.
Am I ruining it? Am I blowing? This is my inner monologue. This is my conscience. Yeah. I'm taking too long. No one's laughing. I should get off stage. I'm surrounded by professionals. Right. Like, oh, dude, it was just so like, you just wouldn't do that to someone who, and Jamie Foxx, like, extreme talent, comedy, acting, singing, performing music in general, just a true talent.
That was the complete just dismantling of another person on stage.
And he was so swaggery when he walked out there.
To watch.
Yeah, but that guy 100% brought that upon himself. Like, he could have been super cool, and he could have made jokes about every single comic up there that were funny and not rude and not disrespectful, but still roast jokes.
So his were just bad roasts? They're
just more disrespectful. And specifically toward Jamie Foxx, who was the roastmeister. And he was the only unsigned comic on the roast. And so he starts
He's a low man on the totem pole.
Right. Like, he should have just been grateful he was there.
Yeah.
He starts out with, like, his opening line was, "I'm not here to roast everybody. I'm here to get a deal."
Oh.
You know, I'm the only unsigned comic up here. And so, which is funny.
Right.
Like, it could have been funny if he'd flipped into humble mode.
Yeah.
But he was like, "This is my big break. I'm going to show you all how I'm just as good, if not better than you." You know, and it just
not the best place to come from.
Didn't go over well, you know, especially someone like Jamie Foxx, who's like nobody's bitch.
Yeah,
you know, that dude's a badass.
Yeah, and he's so well rounded too.
Oh yeah, like, and has been doing it for so long. And I mean, dude, he was hilarious when he was on In Living Color. Like, remember Tawanda, like like, "I could rock your world," you know, like, and doing.
Was that the date game?
Yeah, the date game. God. Doing like the worst blind date you've ever been seen.
Yeah.
So like this huge, like, burly girl that, like, is just super aggressive to you. Like, the guy's trying to leave. He's like, "I got to do this," and she's like, "Oh, I got that. He's like, "I need some chapstick." She's like, "I got Vaseline. See?" He's like, "I need to get gas for my car." He's like, "Regular or unleaded?" He's just pulling it all out of his bag. Like Tawanda's had so many guys run off, and she's just ready for it all. You know, like. Oh yeah, great bits.
So you know, I used to do the same when I started playing music. Was doing open mics,
Yeah.
And, you go, you get your 3 songs in. You might have to wait for an hour to play them, and you're trying to refine them. But I've always had this desire to do one of the comic ones.
Let's do it, man.
And my brother, he and I were gonna do one together, and he ended up doing one. He went down to the Grid in Mesa.
Okay, yeah.
Video game bar.
I've been.
They
at the
have
Grid.
an open mic there, and so he showed up one night. He had his bit, and he went out, and he said, it's like 4 or 5 minutes is
about 5 minutes is your typical open mic in Arizona.
He said he had a couple swings and misses, but there was a few that he kind of was surprised he got good responses out of.
Yeah.
And just the rush, it's a total adrenaline rush, very similar to, I think, competing in jiu-jitsu is like the butterflies, that feeling, that anticipation, the nervousness. It's that's a feeling that a lot of people just will never experience in their life.
Well, the difference with comedy is you can knock back a drink before you get up there.
Take the edge off a little bit.
Well, jiu-jitsu, maybe not.
It's not. It's certainly not recommended.
So, but like I first did it because I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast with Brian Callen, and they were talking about, like, if you ever wanted to do stand-up, just do it. You'd be surprised at how good you are at it. Like, you'd be surprised how better you are at so many people that do it. How many people suck at it.
If nothing else, it's just one of those things you can be like, oh yeah, I tried it.
Yeah, I tried it.
I did that. It was fun.
I got on stage.
Yeah.
I got a couple laughs.
Yeah.
And he goes, but if you were that guy in high school or junior high where the teacher would say something and line up a joke and you had the punchline instantly and you knew it would crush, but you knew there would be consequences, like getting in trouble, getting kicked out, principals off, but you couldn't help yourself. Like, you had to do it.
You should be a comic.
That was me, bro. I would derail a class in seconds. And if I didn't like that teacher, I was just waiting for anything that they'd say. Like, if I liked the teacher, it wasn't quite as bad. Like, we had a mutual respect. But if I didn't, like, I knew the consequences.
You were probably like the substitute teacher's worst nightmare. Like,
depending on the sub, depending on how, like, because some subs would come in there and be like, all right, like, like, if they came in with a good attitude and they were cool, yeah. But if they were like that sub that was just that cranky old sub, I've been kicked out of a lot of subs classes, bro. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. But I was just like, that was me, man. And then when I would do it, like, when you have a joke that hits, that same rush that you get from telling the joke in the classroom and having everybody bust up.
Yeah.
You get that same rush, and it's like,
yeah, I'm sure it's just a roller coaster ride between the hits and the misses, and the highs and the lows that come with that.
Yeah, I had one night where I don't drink a whole lot. I'd say say I've done stand-up 30 times. I've probably had a drink before 7 or 8.
Oh, okay. That's got to make you a minority in the comic world.
Yeah. Well, I like to smoke weed.
Oh, yeah.
Which
that puts you back in the majority.
Back in the majority, yeah. So
pick your poison, but there's some kind of poison.
Right. Absolutely. You got to get loose somehow.
Yeah.
It was a long day. Hadn't really eaten much that day. Decided that I was going to have a Heineken before I went up there, and I ordered some nachos. I get up there and I go, I do my opening line, and in my mind I go, oh shit, I'm drunk on stage. I bombed so hard on a bit that I had done 10 times.
It just got sloppy.
Like, I just couldn't think of it. I couldn't, and the thing is it's timing.
Yeah.
It's like you set it up, you wait for a second, and then bam, you come with the punchline. And my timing was horrible. And I had 5 minutes. I got the light at like 2, and I was just like, yeah, and that's I'm sorry. And another time I started out I didn't bomb. I started out strong, and then like halfway through I just said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. This is the first time I've done this, and I haven't really prepared an ending bit for this piece that I'm satisfied with. So on that note, I'm gonna peace out. And like, so it was like, it was a real strong start, and then like the weakest ending you could ever have, So, but yeah, it's fun, man. It's a good time. I need to do it more. I have a few bits that I don't quite have the guts to do in public yet, because they're a little, how I am, bro.
They could be,
a
little risque or
divisive. Yeah.
But that's comedy too,
Right.
You got to take those risks.
Right. The problem is like, I also know a lot of, like, I don't want to offend and piss off other comics because if they go after you, and they didn't like what you said, they can choose to forego their material and just dismantle something you said if you wanted. But, yeah, dude, I don't know, man. I
don't have bits, but I have things that I've thought, there could be a bit made around that. Those kind of thoughts pop into your head every once in a while.
I'm going to tell you the same thing I told Jake, because Jake had an interest in it too. Write 5 minutes, and I'll go with you when you do it.
Yeah, this has been one of those kind of, I don't want to say a bucket list, but it's like one of these days I'm going to go and do an open mic for comedy.
Yeah, dude, write out 5 minutes and then rehearse it and time yourself. Mm-hmm. And then just memorize that 5 minutes. Make notes, little note cards, or take a notepad. A lot of comics
kind of cues just to remind you.
Yeah, a lot of comics have notes during open mics. Some will say don't do it. I don't do it because I've got a pretty decent memory when I rehearse something. Yeah. But if it's your first time, who cares, man?
Right.
I had notes my first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, write out 5 minutes, rehearse it a couple times, make sure it's 5 minutes, and then you and I will go to a mic, and we'll have a good time. There's actually there's a couple people that do jiu-jitsu in the open in the comedy scene here.
I can believe that.
Yeah, there's a guy named Bill Lakowski who he teaches no-gi sometimes at Jay Page's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's a super hard-working comic, funny guy, and a killer on the mat. And there's another guy named Matthew Blair, who he's actually won a few tournaments and stuff. I saw him at the last 2 tournaments we were at. Goes by Rude Boy when he does comic. Used to be a porn star, but he's got some good material about that, But he's a hard-working comic too, funny guy. But yeah, it's just sometimes when you're dealing with comics, you're dealing with people that have dark sides to their personality, and jiu-jitsu attracts people who confront their demons by getting them choked out sometimes, So, but yeah, man, it's fun. You should check it out. Definitely check it out sometime. If you want help looking at stuff, like, hey, we want to read this over. Not that I'm great at writing, but
It's just I think it's cool to put yourself out of a comfort zone.
It's definitely
to me that would definitely be out of a comfort zone.
Yeah. When everyone's looking at you like, okay, make me laugh. It's like, all right. But
it's just, hey, dude, do it. Try it.
3 guys walk into a bar, So, right on, man. Do you have any shout outs or anything that you want to put out there? Any plugs before we wrap it up?
No, man. You're the plug for the day. I just came, you said you had this thing going on, and I was definitely interested. So, I didn't come with, much of a plan other than to just hang out, see what it was all about.
Nice, man. Well, I'm glad you came on,
shit a little bit.
This is a great podcast, man. We had some good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, it was fun. I'll definitely be a listener and encourage people to check it out.
I appreciate it, man. All right. Planet Earth, Robert Galvan. My buddy, one of my training brothers, and talented musician. Follow him online. What's some of your social media?
For music, I don't really have one, but my Instagram is just Bobby_Galvan.
Cool.
It's just a hodgepodge of stuff. I like to dabble in stuff. So
mine's a hodgepodge too, man.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fun way to approach life. So
yeah,
I'm always interested to connect with people through there. And
cool, man.
It's definitely not the business or music related or anything. But,
that's cool, man.
I'll take new friends any day.
For sure, man. All right, Planet Earth. Thank you for tuning into this episode, and most importantly, be excellent to each other.